As Brock drops 50 gifted memberships, welcome in to a very special CobraCast 199. Tonight's presidential debate. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be legendary. There's going to be a lot of meme moments. I appreciate the fact that anybody has decided to come hang out here with me. Means a lot. Jerk Off Juggernaut just dropped another 50 gifted memberships. What is going on? Eric Guidewall dropped 5 gifted memberships. What is happening? We're already off to an insane pace, and we're still just in the pregame. This is still the pregame, everybody. I gotta say, shout out to all of the 199. Gina Carano made a tweet, and you guys just flooded her replies with, I'm watching on the D-Day Cobra channel. I'm watching CobraCast. And I'm like, dude, you guys are insane. The replies were pretty crazy, and I really do appreciate it. Let me show you guys that one right here. So yeah, Gina puts this tweet out right here. Gina puts this tweet out, and yeah, Gary tagged me, and yeah, the whole thing was well, where'd it go now? There's ABF right there, right here. Okay, so Gina puts this tweet out. Gary tagged me, and the whole reply section was just tagging me. You guys are the freaking best. I don't know what I've done to deserve this, but thank you guys so much for all the love and support, and it is greatly, greatly appreciated. We got my boy, Valiant Renegade, in the house with a MAGA red $100, baby, and says, Renegade Nation incoming, standing strong with the snake pit and the vaunted 199. I got your text earlier too, brother. I appreciate you, man. By the way, everybody stay safe. We got a is it a tropical storm or a hurricane that's making landfall fairly soon over near like Louisiana and everything. So everybody stay safe. As you guys know, I'm from Florida. I've got a lot of experience with the those hurricanes and tropical systems. So it's a hurricane. What category is the hurricane? It's got to be like a Cat 1 or 2 at this point. Tropical storm now, so it's going to upgrade to a hurricane. Is that what's going to happen? So it's going to be a Cat 1. Okay. But always just be safe and be on alert, everybody. So be safe indeed. Okay, so there's a lot of people that are covering this tonight. This is going to be a wild night. Just so you know, the one and only Krista Nova is here. I don't know if she wants to come in and say beep, but she's keeping up with all the super chats. Krista, do you want to tell the chat beep? They all love to hear when you beep.
Beep.
There she goes. So hail Krista, and hail to the chat, and I appreciate you guys. So this is going to be a wild one tonight, man. Eric Guidewall for 20 says, I saw the Eric Swalwell video and thought of the meme the left can't meme because they have no sense of humor. They continue to see things with a filter that everyone who does not agree with them is an ist or a phobe. Yep, and I've been dealing with that a lot this week with the Star Wars YouTubers and them trying to target our Geeks and Gamers channel, and that has been a massive backfire. Jesse MacArthur with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Brock dropping a 50 bomb, Jerk Off Juggernaut dropping a 50 bomb, Jesse, Eric with gifted memberships. Thank you guys. Great Tang with the gifted membership, man. We are off to the races. So we're about 28 minutes from the beginning of the debate. Donald Trump has been in rare form. I should say rare form. It's Donald Trump form. So Trump's doing stuff like you would think, oh, Trump is really locked in. You're damn right he's locked in. And he's posting memes on Instagram right here. This is Donald Trump about an hour ago. This is what Trump is doing right now. The man is locked in 100%. He is absolutely locked in. The MAGA king is ready to go, baby. The MAGA king is ready. Holy crap, this dude is the man. He's the man. And if you actually did see earlier the meltdown, and this is why we say the left can't meme, because the left absolutely cannot meme right here.
What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio because he goes down some crazy rabbit hole, completely debunked that aliens are eating pets? My God, are you okay, Mr. Chairman? Because last year, for a very long time, you tweeted and promoted Kanye West as he was calling for genocide against the Jews, and you kept it up. And now when we have victims coming here, you're tweeting this nonsense. I don't know why you would do this. I hope you're okay. I don't know if the aliens who are eating your ducks are in the room with us right now, but Mr. Chairman, this is a serious issue. These people have loved ones who have been lost, and you tweeted this.
So while it is very funny, and it is, I laughed a lot, there's a very serious issue here, and this represents the Democrats. This represents the left right here. They are so deranged. You've got Donald Trump in an obvious AI meme in a lake in a full suit holding a duck and a kitten, and this dude is losing his mind because people are memeing it. By the way, it hasn't been debunked. In fact, it's been confirmed. But of course, this is what the Democrats do. They just dismiss everything. They make up lies and they spin and twist the narrative because that's what they do. So it's not surprising at all. My goodness, out of their minds. Dave Chandler for a 50 and says Trump slide 2024. Let's freaking go. Thank you, Dave. My boy Dave Chandler in the house. There was a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys really quickly before we do get started with this debate. I have to go over to my bookmarks really quickly. Bookmark. They're going to do everything they can. By the way, I'm not making this up, but Joe Biden said, well, we'll just listen to what Joe Biden said.
I'm going up to my granddaughter's birthday in New York. Then we're going to watch the debate. And then tomorrow I'm doing 9/11.
If you couldn't hear him, he says, tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. One more time.
Then we're going to watch the debate. And then tomorrow I'm doing 9/11.
What the hell are we doing, man? What are we doing? What are we doing? Clay Travis says Trump is locked in tonight. Pray for Kamala. Also, the cat and duck memes are hysterical. They absolutely are. Yeah, man. Trump supporters give Kamala Harris a nice welcome in deep blue Philadelphia.
Trump, 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 Trump,
Let's freaking go. Come on, Twitter video. X. I don't like saying X video for obvious reasons. They aren't stopping, baby. Let's go. The energy. That's MAGA energy right there, baby. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, so there's a lot of energy out there tonight. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and it's going to be an interesting one. I saw something with like the podiums. I'm still trying to look that story up and see exactly what that was all about. There was something going on with like podiums or something. I need to look that one up. Isn't it like Kamala's podium is smaller or something like that? Yeah, Twitter video is really bad right now. All right, here we go. Here we go right here. Per ABC, Harris will have a shorter podium tonight for the debate to give the illusion that she's taller. Everything about her is fake, even her height. They're altering the optics.
Presidential debate. It will be the first presidential debate for Harris.
Good Lord, man. What is happening? Everything about this woman is fake. She is a complete and total phony in every single aspect of the word. Amazing. Welcome in, everybody, whether you're watching on Rumble, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on Kick, whether you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a great evening. Get your favorite food, get some pizza, get some popcorn, and get ready for a show.
Tight race, a deadlock race with less than
Yeah, I know the debates on ABC and not NBC. I've just got this pulled up. They did have a timer earlier. Do they still have the timer on? They had the timer earlier, but I'll pull it up right now and see. ABC. Is it going to be on ABC's YouTube feed? I'm curious about that. ABC. Let's see. Yeah, they've got a lot of people watching right now. Yeah, 316 people watching on their YouTube channel right now. So
and freedom. Now, policy-wise, she is largely vowing to continue the policies of the Biden administration, but there is no question on this issue, she is facing the most pressure from Democratic voters. I've been at nearly every Harris rally so far, and at almost every one, she is interrupted by protesters eager to make their voices heard on it. They will be listening closely.
very strong voting bloc there too, Rachel.
Yeah, they're going to be listening.
I mean, just think about this. Democrats don't want a live studio audience. They don't want the people to have a voice. That's kind of in their DNA at this point in time. Like, Democrats just don't want people to have a voice. The fact that we can't have a live studio audience for a presidential debate is absolutely insane. And do you know why we can't have that? Because Donald Trump will dominate, and that's what they're scared of. So they are literally taking people's voices away because they can't control them, and they know that Trump is more popular. They know Trump will work the room. That is insane to me. I can't believe that. But that is where we are. Like, how much better would this be if there was a live audience? But even in, it started with Trump back in 2016, where they were like screaming at the audience to be quiet. Like, could you imagine like going to a football game or a professional wrestling match and yelling because the audience is being too loud? That's what the point of a live audience is for a spectacle like that. It's because they add value to the production and to the moment. But because they can't control that, they just eliminate it completely. And that represents everything that Democrats want. They don't want you to have a voice. They don't want you to share an opinion. They don't want you to have a platform. They don't want you to do anything other than rely on them, the government. That's the whole point of Democrats and everything that they stand for. And it's absolute bullshit. And I'm sick and tired of it. So that's why, even if you're on the fence, which again, I'm not sure how you're on the fence at this point in time, but I'm just going to assume you're on the fence because I can't talk to Trump supporters because they're going to vote. So if you're on the fence, do you like the fact that the Democrats have decided that your voice and anyone's voice is not allowed in these presidential debates? How does that make you feel? And if it bothers you in the slightest bit, understand that that represents Kamala Harris's America. That represents what she is going to do, and not even what she's going to do, but what the machine is going to do in Barack Obama's fourth term, because it's essentially we're looking at Barack Obama's fourth term is all we're doing right now. And it's disgusting, man. But that's where we are, where they simply just do not want people's voices. And if that bothers you in the slightest, vote Trump. That's it. Vote Trump. That's all you can do. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your colleagues. And if they're on the fence, talk to them about it. Now, the far left-wing lunatics, I personally do not even think that they're worth a conversation. I think that they do nothing but waste your time and energy. And with the far left, when you do have any type of conversation with them, you're just going down their rabbit hole. And they're literally just setting traps for you, a victim trap. Every single time you have a conversation with somebody from the far left, it's just like victim here, victim there. If you try to meet them halfway, they'll find something else to be victimized over. You know? So anyway, welcome in everybody to CobraCast 199. It's been a wild week for me and a lot of my friends with the cancellation efforts of a bunch of YouTubers, namely Star Wars Explained and Kyle Katarn. And they thought that they would silence me and my friends by targeting us with a coordinated campaign telling YouTube to demonetize all of us, and that has backfired gloriously. And it's been a pretty amazing month for my main Geeks and Gamers channel. And now we're here on my personal channel, CobraCast. And it's been a hell of a week. But I would not encourage anyone to go and harass or talk or target any of these people. I would just encourage you to continue to support us in whichever way you feel that we have earned. Thank you, guys. Let me see here. All right. So we're about 15 minutes away now from the presidential debate. Let's hear what these clowns on ABC are saying.
We are joined on behalf of the Trump campaign by Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. Senator Cotton, thanks a lot for being. We only have a couple minutes. This debate's about to get underway, but I wanted to ask you, which Donald Trump do you think is going to show up tonight? You know him well. Is it going to be the Donald Trump that is going to be making personal attacks, insulting Kamala Harris, or is it going to be the Donald Trump that's going to focus on his issues?
John, I think you're going to see the Donald Trump who's president for 4 years, who has a clear record. This campaign is unusual. We don't have a candidate running for office for the first time. The American people remember what it was like under President Trump. We had stable prices, rising wages, a secure border, and peaceful, stable relations around the world. Under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we've had record high inflation. We've had a wide open border. We've had war breaking out everywhere. The American people are going to remember after tonight that times were good under Donald Trump, and they want another 4 years of President Trump back in the White House.
And we noticed he was spending a lot of time looking at the angles, studying the debate stage. He does know the television of this as well.
Well, he does, but I think the style and the debate stage and the lighting and all that is going to be secondary in the minds of most voters, especially those trying to make up their minds to what they hear from the two candidates about their record. People remember that with Donald.
Jeremy, you're muted.
Shit, my bad. Thank you, Chris. See, that's why Chris is here. I think that Donald Trump is going to have the same philosophy tonight as he did with Biden. I think that he knows. Here's the bottom line. Kamala Harris is a very stupid person. Okay, we know that. The more that Kamala Harris talks, the more that she becomes very unlikable. She becomes extremely unlikable. The more that that woman says anything, the more damage she does to anything she's trying to accomplish. So I hope that Trump's mentality is to just stand there, be poised, answer questions as clearly as he can, and let her talk herself in the ground, because that's what she's good at. The more she talks, the worse it is for her. It's why she doesn't do interviews. It's why she doesn't speak to the media. It's why she wants to control this situation to the best of her ability. So in my opinion, Trump just needs to let her talk and all will be well. And guess who's here, ladies and gentlemen? We have a celebrity in the house. We have a young man that just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Drunk 3BO!
Hey!
What's up, brother?
Hear me okay? I forgot how to stream.
Nah, man. Hey, I'm the one that can't even unmute without Krista saving the day. So how you doing, brother?
I'm ready, man. I got my cheddar cheese chips.
Nice.
I got all my drinks here. I'm ready.
Well,
no popcorn because last thing I needed to get stuck in my teeth. You know.
Yeah, I think.
Wait, can we give a huge shout out to Gina Carano, who just texted me saying, "I see you guys.
Hey.
I see you guys." So what's
Gina.
up, Gina? You came to the right place for the presidential debate.
Gina Carano.
And let me know if you want a
watching.
link.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. We will happily send you a link, Gina. So Gina watching CobraCast. The world is right where it should be right now. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to the question though, that would be my prediction, is for Trump to allow Kamala to just talk as much as possible, laugh and giggle and be goofy and make herself look really stupid. And she's really good at that. She's actually really good at that.
Can Donald Trump please come out with like a cat or something in his hand? Like, can we please get that?
Did you see what he posted on Instagram earlier?
So beautiful. It was beautiful.
This man is a legend. Gina tweeted about me. Really? Holy shit. All right, hang on. Let's check this out. I gotta find it. My notifications are a mess right now. So.
Oh yeah, she did. She says, "Hey, D-Day Cobra, I'm watching you." No mention of Jay, but that's okay. I only set this party up. It's all good.
There we go. I just retweeted her. Look at that. Look at that. It's pretty. Oh, that's that. I saw a few people saying hi to Gina before you even got here. And I was like, did I miss something? So thank you, Gina. It's a pleasure to have you here. The legend, Gina Carano.
Oh, yeah.
We are 12 minutes away from the presidential debate, ladies and gentlemen. Should be fun. Should be interesting. And I just really hope that Trump I just hope that he lets her talk, man. This is why.
That's the best scenario. Just sit back and let her cackle.
Yeah. And I don't know. How much do you think Kamala's had to drink tonight? I think she's probably kicked back a few already to kind of calm her nerves.
Yeah. Did you hear the stories? Like they brought in like a Trump actor or something like that, a guy dressed up.
Yeah.
Debate. I don't know if that's true, but
dude, what if they brought Shane Gillis in to to be Trump?
Be hilarious.
I mean, Trump is just. I've said this forever, and I will say this. I will continue to say. I said this before Trump became president, and it stands more true today than ever before. But even before, when Donald Trump walks into a room, he is the most important person in that room. He just has an aura about him that is second to none. He just is. I don't know what it is about the guy. He just shines brighter than every single person. He just has a presence that commands every single environment. And if you go back to 2016 with the presidential debates of 2016, Trump was the focus of every single politician on that stage. Even when there was over 10 of them, they all had to talk about Trump. They all had to mention Trump. They all couldn't do anything but focus on Trump. Now today, Hollywood releases their fucking trailer for their Donald Trump hit piece today. Because Trump dominates their minds. He dominates everything. It's crazy. It's insane. And you can go back, as I've documented many times, you can go back and you can look. They all loved him. Oprah, all these celebrities loved him. Snoop Dogg, all of them. They all loved Donald Trump when he was a celebrity. And he was their favorite person. And then as soon as he ran for president, they got their NPC updates and they all had to hate Donald Trump. And now here we are. And he's still the most popular and important man on the planet.
The fact that Donald Trump can get AI generated and holding a cat could upset a member of our political establishment so much.
I know, man.
The fact that he could cause a meltdown with a meme should tell you something. First of all, you got to get those people out, because if they can't handle a meme, good Lord, how the heck are they supposed to handle real problems? Jeez, man.
It's wild, man. But
Trump's put together a pretty. Oh, is it starting? He's put together.
No. We still got a few minutes.
I would love to see Trump, Elon, Kennedy all on the same stage. Put Vivek in there too. That's just unbelievable.
Well, so, I mean, Elon Musk is going to play a pretty important role in Trump's administration, which, if you've been watching me for any significant amount of time, if you go back over a year and a half, Elon and Trump really were not on the same page. And it was kind of clear that they had some level of beef. And I said, I really hope these guys can put their differences behind them. Now, being the fact that Elon and Trump are probably the two most famous people in the world, and both of them are billionaires, I felt like there's probably no way that these guys could. Oh, no. Chris Christie. I got to hear what he has to say because he hates Trump. Oh,
into that room right now. What's going on with Donald Trump?
Well, look, at this point, he's in the worst hour of his prep, because you just have to sit there and wait. And wait for the time to come.
Is this where you start
make
eating,
you get there early?
Christy? We're just waiting, so he's just eating?
There. He's not really being spoken to. A little small talk here and there, but nobody's trying to give him any kind of clues.
So let me ask you the question. Let me ask you the question I tried to ask Tom Cotton. He didn't exactly give me an answer, but you will. Which Trump is going to show up tonight?
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean by that. Which
How the
Trump?
fuck is he supposed to answer that, Tom Cotton?
Dumbest question.
I think at the beginning of the debate, the Trump who will show up will be the calmer Donald Trump. He knows inherently after the 2020 first debate against Joe Biden that the other Donald Trump is not the one that's a winning formula. The question's going to be, will he be able to continue to maintain that approach through questioning by David and Lindsay and through any comments that Vice President Harris makes in his direction? And
donuts in the chat. Donuts in the chat.
And you and I were talking, you helped prepare him for those 2016 debates against Hillary Clinton. He told you that he had respect for Hillary Clinton, that Hillary Clinton was smart as you were preparing. What about Kamala Harris? We hear not the same.
She's stupid.
Well, certainly he's not saying that publicly in any way. And I can tell you that in 2016, he would regularly say during the many debate prep sessions that we had with him that Hillary Clinton was smart, that she was a good debater, that she was not to be taken lightly. And I don't think there was ever a moment in 2016 where he took her lightly. I do think he took Joe Biden lightly in 2020. And clearly during the prep sessions that I had with him, it was very, very difficult to get him to focus on what Joe Biden might or might not do in that first debate. And I think his performance in part reflected that. So the question's going to be, is what he's saying publicly what he really believes? We know that often with Donald Trump, that's performance. But I will tell you that in his 2016 prep, he was serious about getting ready for Hillary Clinton. In his 2020 debate prep, he was completely unserious about getting ready for Joe Biden.
Oh, my God.
I think performances in both those debates reflected that approach.
All right, Chris Christie, you'll be watching with us. Martha?
And have about 6 minutes left before the debate, so let's bring in Donna Brazile.
Donna Brazile. The credibility just goes down the drain. I got to hear what Donna Brazile has to say.
Own the future.
Good Lord.
But she also has to own the past. So how does she do this?
It's quite easy because I do believe that in talking about the future, you draw from your past. You draw from your past experiences. She draws from how she was raised, the values that was instilled in her as a young lady. Look, she is steady on her feet, still in her resolve. And tonight she should talk to the American people, sit in their living rooms, go to their kitchen table and say, look, I have some ideas that I want to share with you. There's so much that we have done together over the last
I can't do it.
years.
I cannot listen
Problem
to
is,
that.
like, her whole, I don't, if her debate tactic is Donald Trump bad, it's gonna be worse than what we thought. That's the thing. She's got to come in with at least something, and she can't steal Trump stuff. Trump was like, no tax on tips. You know, that started to get a lot of popular, opinions. People are like, that's not a bad thing. So Kamala's like, I said it first. No tax on tips. It's like, you're in office, woman. Then make it so.
Again, I think everybody that's watching this stream knows this, but Kamala Harris is an incredibly stupid person. She is not intelligent at all. There's nothing intelligent about her. And people on the left will go, oh, he's saying, do you know why I'm saying that? Because she's a stupid person. All right. It has nothing to do with anything other than she is not smart. It's a fact. All you have to do is listen to anything that this woman says. She's not smart. And that's the key tonight. I am monitoring Rumble. I see you guys, Blue Ryzen. I see you becoming a member over there. So I got the Rumble chat pulled up, baby. I got Rumble, we got Kick, we got YouTube, and we're on Twitter or X. So yeah, I'm watching all chats, and Krista Nova is watching all chats. So, but yeah, so here we go. We are now 3 minutes away from the start. Kamala Harris has a shorter podium than Donald Trump to make her look like she's taller, which is right in line with everything about Kamala Harris. She is a fake. She is a phony. She is a candidate that did not earn one single vote. And yet here she is being installed into a position that she knows nothing about, and she will have no real power. She's just going to be a front piece for Barack Obama in his fourth term, just like Joe Biden was for Barack Obama's third term. So that's where we are. Boy, oh boy. Over 5,000 people here on YouTube. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Brock and Jerkoff Juggernaut dropped 100 gifted memberships earlier.
Jeez.
Yeah, so a lot of gifties flying. All right,
tonight.
Let's hear what they got to
one
say.
of the things he wants to do is have female voters look at him.
No disrespect. No disrespect. How old is she? She's got to be 182, dude. Like, how old is she?
I think she's like 42. I don't know, like that.
No, it won't. But I also think that just like he did in the first debate against Joe Biden, I think the formula here is to constantly tie Kamala Harris to the Biden administration, which is where Trump is winning against her on the economy, inflation, and all these other problems that we're having. And then sit back and let her talk. Let her.
Somebody said she's 199. Hey, real quick, before we go live, merch plug, go over to 221 Be Tactical. Get yourself a Geeks and Gamers hat and the Geeks and Gamers mascot IDOT shirt right there. All right. This campaign ends in 1 week. Mods will be dropping links, so make sure you go over there. All right, here we go.
These two people that have been the center of our lives for the last 2 months have never met each other.
Have never even met each other. And Harris said, if you got something to say it to my face. The question tonight, does Donald Trump actually go there? He's questioned a racial.
Are you serious? Of course he'll go there. He has no problem saying it to someone's
this is the
face.
largest audience they're likely going to have in this race. It will be interesting to see if Harris can make clear the stark choice before voters. And where does she decide to land her punches? She can punch hard. Can she do that while rising above the needle and coming her way?
Here we
First
go.
and foremost, are we going to see a handshake when the two of them meet
Yeah,
for the
they're
first
going to
time?
shake
We
hands.
didn't back
Probably
in
not.
2016 when
I
I did
doubt
that
that.
debate. We'll stand by to see that tonight, but the first time side to side together.
And I have my doubts that we're going to see that handshake, but what we are going to see is a spirited debate and perhaps the most consequential general election debate we have ever seen, because almost certainly going to be the last one. So with the stakes so high, the presidential debate just moments away. We have the entire.
I ought to
news
tell
division
everybody
keeping an eye on
something that she
everything.
doesn't want to do
We're
press.
going to be fact-checking.
He doesn't
on
want to do
our
more
live
than
blog.
3 debates.
It's all
That's
gonna be
insane,
happening
man.
right
All
here.
through
The
history,
debate
it's always
now,
been like 3
just
debates.
10 seconds away.
You know,
and we
neutral, then
will be
kind of like
back
one in that
with our
guy's
post-game
corner and
show
another one in
as
the
soon
other
as it's
person's
over. We are gonna
corner.
toss it.
The
It's
fact that she
pathetic.
doesn't want to debate or do press conferences should tell you one thing. You don't want a leader like that.
Tonight, the
Here we
high-stakes
go.
showdown here in Philadelphia between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Their first face-to-face meeting in this presidential election, their first face-to-face meeting ever.
A historic race for president upended just weeks ago. President Biden withdrawing after his last debate. Donald Trump now up against a new opponent.
The candidates separated by the smallest of margins, essentially tied in the polls nationally and in the key battlegrounds, including right here in Pennsylvania, all still very much in play. The ABC News presidential debate starts right now.
Let's go.
This is an ABC News special. The most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala Harris.
Together, we will chart a new way forward.
Donald Trump.
We will soon be a great nation again.
Face to face. Historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions. And
Bullshit.
this is the
Kamala
clock.
knows all
That's
the
what they'll be
questions.
seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National
Of course there's
Constitution
not.
Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the
What kind of a
final
leader is
closing
that that's
statement of the
scared of
evening.
a-
Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the
Look at
stage.
her
Vice
smaller-
President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
with no audience, which is so weird. She's going to try to shake his hand. Look.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
That was
Welcome
so
to you both.
forced.
It's wonderful
Oh
to have you.
my
It's an honor
God.
to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their
Sure
children.
seems like she
and
knew
I
what this
intend on
question was.
extending
She's
a
really
tax
prepared
cut
for that.
for those families.
Really
of
prepared for that.
$6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
This is a prepared
My
answer
passion,
to a
one of them
non-question.
is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before.
This was going to be her
which
answer
is
no
to
matter
provide
what
a
the
tax
question
cut
was.
for
This is pathetic.
billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be
Told you,
the
Trump man
backs
bad.
of middle-class people
That's her
paying
answers.
for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's
Trump
happening.
on
You
point.
see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality.
Yeah.
And we have to get
Crushing
them
it.
out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century.
Donald Trump bad.
Donald
That's
Trump
the only
left
answer she
us
has.
the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up
January
Donald Trump's
6th.
mess.
You know, we do
What we
remember what
have
it was
done
like in
and what
Trump's
I
economy,
intend to
Kamala.
do is
We do
build
remember.
on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump, will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got
everything
gowns,
about
we got
her is
masks, we
optics.
did
She is
things that nobody
trying
thought
so
possible.
hard.
And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy. And the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The vice president brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do
Run,
want to
Spot,
ask for your
run.
response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires.
She's starting to get emotional.
Focusing
She's starting
on
to get
relationships
emotional.
with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on
She's
quantum
breaking.
computing.
She's breaking.
Focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce, so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick
Yeah.
in terms of
She's
workers'
rattled.
rights. But what
Selling out our
Donald Trump
military?
did,
I
let's
wouldn't
talk
bring that
about
up,
this,
woman.
with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point. When we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's an execution.
Oh,
no
he
longer
has her
abortion, because
rattled.
the baby is born is okay. And that's not okay with me. Hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions, very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years.
He's 100%
Every
right.
legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people
Dude, he
now.
is
It's not tied up in the
crushing.
federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response.
Did
to
she just
President
fact check him?
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies. And that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are
Holy
Trump
shit.
abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot.
This is all
She didn't
staged.
want
This
that.
is all a stage
Her
for
husband
them.
didn't want that. A 12 or 13
What about the people that didn't want the jab?
Being
My
forced
body,
to
my
carry a
choice.
pregnancy to term? They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people
Are they going to let him? Are they going to
that
let him
certain
respond to this
freedoms,
bullshit?
in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it
Well,
came
I
to your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans.
This is 100% rigged.
They didn't even come close to getting student loans.
Rigged.
They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, want to give you your time to respond. But
Fuck
I do want to ask, would you
ABC.
support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned,
God,
nowhere in
this
America
is all set up, dude.
is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting
Get on
her
a plane
through
sitting next to
is
strangers?
unconscionable.
Did she
And
really
the
say
people
that?
of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question?
Yeah.
Would you
Because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans,
Exactly,
Democrats, voters
Kat.
across the
Her
board,
mic was
in
not
this country.
muted.
Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving rallies early.
Windmills cause cancer.
And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
He
this
brought
is
it.
what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
The people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election,
why when she brought up Project 2025, did they tell her that that was not true? Because they're not going to fact check her.
Worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member.
Oh yeah, please keep telling people that.
And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family.
Oh my
They
God,
didn't
her
fire. They should have
arrogance,
fired
dude.
all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in
Oh
this country.
my
But Vice
God,
President,
dude.
They were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted.
Wow,
for
there it is.
National security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable
Trump man
for
bad.
sexual assault. And his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is
This is
important that we
insane.
move forward.
I can't
that
believe
we
how
turn
rigged
the
this is,
page
man. This is
on this
unbelievable.
same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate,
This is
I'm quoting,
insane.
terminate
This is
the Constitution of the
insane.
United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice
to
President
stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake
Trump,
Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Oh my
Vice President
God,
Harris,
dude.
in your last
This
run
is
for president, you said
100%
you wanted to
rigged.
ban fracking.
but he's standing-
Now you don't.
Yeah.
You wanted mandatory government
freaking
buyback
standing
programs
strong.
for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every
Oh my
one of
God.
the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother.
Did she say that
who
already?
worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply
God,
grounded in the
all of
importance
this is
of standing
scripted.
up for those who are most
The
vulnerable.
same thing she just said.
My
at the
work
convention.
that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up.
what
I
is she
intend to
talking
be
about?
that president.
Fuck is
President Trump, your
Well, first of
response?
all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please.
Damn.
That sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get
environment
to.
that
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David. All over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle, they took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election.
This is so
there
rigged.
anything you regret about what
So
you did on
rigged.
that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
Jesus, dude. I can't believe what I'm watching.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob
Oh, my God.
to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches.
This is insane,
spewing
dude.
anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember.
You got a fact checker?
That
You got a
when
fact
it came
checker?
to the Proud Boys, a
You got a
militia,
fact checker?
No, they're not.
the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by.
So you're not going to fact check
So
her?
for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy.
Oh my
'cause you
God!
don't
This
like
is a
the
campaign.
outcome.
This is a
And be clear
paid campaign
on
for
that
Kamala
point.
Harris tonight.
Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath
Oh,
if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It
Well,
was
his
a
mic was
different
muted.
term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this, you talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue. To both
No
of you, because it
fact
really
checking
brings
of her.
us,
No
this
fact
into
checking of
focus,
her.
truth,
None.
in these times that we're living in.
I can't believe
Mr.
this.
President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say it.
sarcastically. You
But
know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president
He
has ever
doesn't need to
gotten. I was
walk
told
into
if I
these.
got
He needs to
63,
just
which
be
was
like,
what I
look,
got
we're
in
not.
2016,
I want to focus on
you can't be beaten.
and not the last one.
The
He doesn't need to walk into
people
this.
should never be thinking about it. An election is fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisper. We didn't quite make it.
Fuck
and we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican,
judge looked at it.
and said
They
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania.
Trump
and
is
I'll show you-
kind of
we
walking
have
into
so
it right
many
now. He
facts
needs
and
to stop.
statistics.
He needs
But
to
you know
stop
what? That
defending
doesn't matter,
himself.
because we have to solve
They
the
are
problem that we have
baiting
right now.
you.
That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
Oh my God.
But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president of the United States.
No, you haven't.
And world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders.
He cannot
some of whom
get
work
put
with you.
He cannot.
And they say you're a disgrace.
Yeah, he's going to get pulled into
And
it.
when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be
Thank you,
respected.
ABF.
Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here.
Oh,
On
God.
October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so, absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters, because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately. And the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu?
No rebuttal
and
to
also
her, no
Hamas in
nothing
order
to
get the
her.
hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because
All right,
the
he's
whole
cooking now.
place
He's
is going to
cooking.
get blown
He's
up.
cooking.
Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation. And now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant.
I'm completely just checked out because I'm so dejected at how horrible this is. This is horrible.
And
This
it
is
is
fucking horrible.
absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so
You gonna
clear.
fact check her?
They can manipulate you with flattery and favors.
You gonna fact check
And
her?
that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center.
So I just retweeted something from Matt Walsh, and I think this is spot on. Ironically, the moderators are winning the debate for Trump by being so insanely lopsided and biased against him. They are now the story of the night, which is a win for Trump. That is a fantastic way of looking at that. This is insane. I can't believe what we are witnessing right now. Charlie Kirk says, did you really think they were going to give Trump a fair debate? Trump got shot on July 13th and now a drive-by shooting on September 10th. This is insane, dude. I can't believe how rigged this is. Like, they're not even hiding it.
I mean, we kind of assumed.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was going to be this blatantly obvious. This is insane.
She only... this is the only debate that she wanted to do, that everything was in her corner. Everything was in her pocket. That's not real leadership, number one. And I hope people see that. I hope people can see that if you can't even stand in front of a studio audience to do a debate, why? You have no business leading a country if you're that scared. So I hope a lot of people see that for what it is and what's happening tonight. That's the thing. I hope people really see.
Yep. This is I'm blown away at this. Wow. I mean, they're not hiding it. They're fact checking Trump on every little thing. And then she just spews lies about Charlottesville. She spews lies about very good people on both sides. She spews lies about Project 2025. She spews lies about the Biden administration. And they say nothing. They say nothing. Every answer from her is something that she has already rehearsed. She's not even answering questions. And when she doesn't answer questions, they don't say anything. But with Trump, they sit there and ask him multiple times over it. I cannot believe how obvious this is. This is obvious.
And that's the thing. I hope people see that. I hope they see how obvious it is.
Yeah.
And it's everything that he's been saying. It's Trump versus the machine. It's always been Trump versus the machine. This is no different. They bring up stupid crap that the January 6th, Charlottesville, all that stuff, try and to gaslight people. But it's I hope that a lot of people will just be
I will just say
this is ridiculous.
They're doing this because they have no other choice. And Elon bought Twitter. And thank God Elon bought Twitter, because if we didn't have X as a platform to talk and spread the truth, then they would have the narrative on lock. And again, this is where I will always thank God for Elon Musk, because he potentially has changed the dynamic of everything because of his purchase of Twitter, which is now X. My goodness, man. I just cannot believe how insane this is.
Again, after this is done, Trump will be on podcast. He has done, I mean, listen, he was on with Aiden Ross. He was on with other people. He's trying to reach every demographic while she's just cackling. And she really hasn't said anything, but Trump, man, is bad. Trump is bad, so don't elect him. That's all she has. So after a while, it's like, what are you going to, and then she's going to say, hey, I was raised a middle class. Like, that's all she has. All right.
Market Rally for 100, a MAGA Red 100, says he needs to keep the debate focused on her and the press. This is so incredibly rigged. It needs to be chopped up and fact-checked in repeatable sound bites so that people see what's going on here. I will say this. I don't think Trump is handling the moment as good as he could at this point. He's getting baited a lot. And I get it. He is 3 versus 1. It's 3 versus 1. But he is on the defense right now, and that is the only thing that's bothering me. But I don't hold him accountable for that. He's literally being ganged up on and set up in this, and he just has to he has to stop being so defensive and keep his he needs to keep calm. And that's why she's so arrogant, because she knows she's not going to be checked. She knows she's not going to be questioned. She's not going to face any blowback from the moderators because they're on her fucking team. I can't believe how bad this is. Look at this piece of shit. Oh my God, man. Like, I hope this crushes ABC News. I hope this crushes them. These two moderators will forever be known as two moderators that rigged a presidential debate, the one and only presidential debate, and the only one that Kamala would agree to. Oh my gosh, man. Unbelievable.
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to
it's
turn to the war in
historic.
Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple
Thank you,
question
Fluffy
tonight.
Pencil.
Do you want Ukraine
Thank you, JM, the elite
to win
fan on
this
Rumble.
war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here,
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best
Good
interest
Lord,
for Ukraine to win
man.
this war? Yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Oh, God.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans.
What?
Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fella. And that is another one.
Answer the question.
When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms.
A yes or no question.
Strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world
Have you met with
are
Putin?
dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance
Honestly, I just hope ABC just keeps doing it. Just keep doing it because you've already fucked up.
In terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and
Keep
not
fucking doing
sell
it.
them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen, for years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the
Man,
debate.
this is
and we
bad for
witnessed
ABC.
A poignant moment today
This
on
is
Capitol
bad.
Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic
You guys
withdrawal from
have won this
Afghanistan.
for
I do
Trump.
want to ask the Vice President,
Pieces of shit.
do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. Four
Willie Brown
presidents
pulled out too.
Said they would, and Joe
God, I
Biden
wish
did.
Trump would say that to her.
And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day
Montel
we were
Williams
paying
pulled
for that
too.
endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role
What is
and
she talking
responsibility
about?
of the president of the United States.
Who gives a
to
crap
be
about Camp
commander-in-chief with a
David?
level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we
What?
must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President
That
Trump, your
was a
response
whole
to her
pile
saying
of
that you began the
nothing.
negotiations
thank
with the
you.
Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move
And
on.
these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first Black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that. Better than this.
Everything is a fight. This is a whole campaign for her.
Understands as I do.
Everything she does, they're just allowing it. They don't interrupt her. They've not cut her off. This is bullshit.
We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other.
Yes, it was a setup question, Dirty Jersey. I agree.
Who tell me
the whole thing's a setup.
Can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people? Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
Nobody gives a fuck about any of this stuff.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly.
I want her to answer the Putin
Clearly,
question.
Yeah, I know.
I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President
Yeah,
Trump,
yeah, he doesn't
Let's
get to
turn to policy,
respond.
please.
Don't
to
Trump.
defund the police.
Don't
She has
do
a
it, Trump.
plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
They're not gonna let you
fracking
talk,
in
bro.
Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
you, Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond
President
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
gonna
just need to
move on,
respond
Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
times.
now your third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
How about
I
a
have
yes or no
concepts
for
of a
Putin?
plan. I'm not president right now. But
Jesus
if
Christ.
we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something
This
that's
is
better
so
and less expensive.
biased.
And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years
there it
later,
is.
you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And
Ask
the
her what
late,
gun she
great
owns.
John McCain, who you have disparaged.
I'd love for her to answer that question, bro. I would love for
you
that.
don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, We will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Pass as
President
prologue
Harris, thank
in terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made
of
a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get.
President
People
Trump.
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates.
All right,
An
Jay,
historic night, this ABC News.
You got to entertain for a minute. I got to pee. So you gonna do that for me? Can you entertain?
Sure.
Can you handle it?
Can you go to the bathroom? Just go and.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Don't get too nervous. You got 100,000 subscribers.
Hey, chat. What's up? It's going great, isn't it? Actually, this debate is going exactly how I thought it would be going, because they had to have it. Let's see. I have I hope I don't mess Jeremy up by sharing this. This is exactly what we're watching right now. I was like, he's walking into the lion's den, man. We all knew it. Why are we surprised? And yet he's still standing strong. That's what I wanted to see, because at the end of the day, that's what I want to see in a leader. That's not afraid. That's not afraid to step into into ground where they're gonna come after him over and over and over again. And he's still standing strong. That's the thing. So anyway, how's it going?
Are you okay, Jay? Okay.
Dance, Jay, dance. I was just showing like the memes are like going crazy. So
well,
everybody is everybody sees it. That's the thing, and that's what I appreciate, is that if people's eyes are open. Well, you have to reshare your screen. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
If their eyes are open to everything that's going on, then this election is over. Like that Donald Trump will win in a landslide, simply because it just proves the media, everybody else, nobody wants him in. And imagine if like Elon didn't own Twitter, what Twitter would be saying right now about this debate, or any other social media at that.
Yep.
So it's just typing in the hashtag and seeing like what people are saying, it's all pretty much the same. They're like, man, I don't know, like this just looks unfair,
it's
things
bad.
like that. So
it's bad. I mean, the reaction right now is the story. Listen, do I think Trump is doing as good as he could do? Not necessarily. But do I think Trump is doing as good as he could do given the circumstances? Probably. It's 3-on-1. He's getting ambushed, and she's facing no restrictions, and she's already been given the questions. This is a cakewalk for her, and they are ambushing him, and every question is meant to put Trump on his heels. He's having to defend himself in every aspect. They allow her to interrupt him. They allow her to do anything. They don't fact check her on anything. So then he has to fact check her instead of anything, because they're not going to question her on anything. So because of the circumstances, the story is the moderators. And this will be the story, because it's not so much about Trump's performance as it is about Trump's performance under the circumstances. And he is showing he's not whining about it. He's not crying. He's standing there like a man, and he's fighting, even though he is being absolutely ambushed. And
that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what I want in a leader.
Yes.
No fear. I'm not afraid. I know everyone's going to be against me. I know they're going to rig this. I know everything.
If there was a fucking audience, the audience would be booing every single time that they fact checked him, and they didn't.
100%.
This is why they didn't want an audience. This is why they had to control the circumstances. Everybody's going to see this. Yes, the clowns that are going to vote for Kamala are going to vote for her. Whatever. There are people in the middle that are going to see this and go, "This is not fair." And this man who just got shot like a month ago and stood up and said fight is standing there and fighting. He's not complaining. He's not whining. He's not crying. He's a little defensive, which can be a fair criticism, but given the circumstances involved, he's crushing it.
I'm just saying that the non-answering of the Putin question is, to me, that's pretty massive. Like it was a simple yes or no question, and she just literally took it to say, well, when I was a little girl,
oh my God,
me and Zelensky had pancakes, and like that. I was like, what the
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be
Okay.
a president that will
Okay.
protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people.
Oh,
And I'll tell you, as a
God,
prosecutor,
the people you didn't
I
allow
never
to be in the
asked
audience?
a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay?
Jesus.
And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President
Boom.
Trump,
He
thank you.
just
And that is
crushed
our
it.
ABC News presidential
I gotta
debate
tweet
from
that out
here in
right
Philadelphia
now.
at the National Constitution Center.
That was-
I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David
That
Muir. Thank you for
was
watching here in the U.S.
a perfect thing to end on, and that will be the thing that he leaves everybody with is, why haven't you done it? I was wondering why he didn't say that at all during the debate tonight. I was like,
He
why
just
is it-
walks off like a Chad.
Yeah, boy. That's our boy right there. Oh my goodness. He crushed right there. That was it right there. A massive dub. So look, okay, overall on the night, Trump had to fight 3 different people. He had to fight debaters. He had to fight the fact that she already had the answers to the questions. This is insane, but this is where we are. So now the question is how do the optics play? And I think the optics are going to be absolutely horrific. There's no point in listening to ABC right now.
No.
But a handshake. And if you look,
Let's have a good debate. Thank you.
I mean,
Welcome
wait a
to
moment.
you
First of all, because we hadn't seen a handshake. We haven't seen a handshake in a
And she
long time.
initiated
Talking about the handshake? Come on,
Talking
man.
about the
Why don't
really,
you ask her
really,
what kind of gun does Kamala own?
yeah, exactly.
Let's do that fact check. Number 2, Why did she not answer the simple yes or no question? Did she ever meet Putin? That's
Dude, I can't believe what we
Pretty
just
simple.
witnessed. I can't believe what we just witnessed and how bad it was. That was the most rigged election. Rigged presidential debate we've ever seen. Now, if you just go to my timeline, I've been retweeting everybody, okay? Because everybody's stalling. There's Tulsi. The debate was 3 versus 1. The ABC moderators clearly shilling for Kamala Harris. Megyn Kelly, the pile on against Trump is so bad and so obvious this will backfire. Megyn Kelly, the absolute gall of ABC to keep fact-checking only Trump while letting her lie in every answer is infuriating. Trump won. ABC moderators didn't even hide their bias bullshit. Don't stop calling them out. Don't stop. Clay Travis, ABC's rig job is the story here. This is like a game when an obvious and clear officiating error is the primary story of the game. It's all going to be, it's all that's going to be talked about. 100%. Vivek says this is an interesting debate format, 3-on-1. Matt Walsh, ironically, the moderators are winning this debate for Trump by being so insanely lopsided and biased against him.
That's what I think.
They are now the story of the night, which is a win for Trump. Charlie Kirk, did you really think they were going to give Trump a fair debate? Trump got shot on July 13th and is now a drive-by shooting on September 10th. Ben Shapiro, ABC's moderators are a disgrace to their profession. Clay Travis, ABC is finished. I've never seen anything like this. Just allowing Kamala to lie. It's just crazy, bro. So Donald Trump Jr., weird how the hack moderators at ABC are only fact-checking Trump and allowing Kamala to lie. And of course, the fake news is the enemy. So, man, what a wild, wild night. And yeah, I can't believe how obvious it was. I really can't. So what is this right here?
He had this answer, which is demonstrably false, but alleging that people are eating cats and dogs across the country. If you're not like us, if you're not dialed into this stuff constantly, if you're a regular viewing audience at home, and this is your first time experiencing that, you're probably thinking, what the heck was this guy talking about? And that's exactly what the Harris campaign wanted.
I will agree with that. Like that statement, while obviously there's reports out there, people have seen it, they wanted the optics of it. So playing to the normies, I don't disagree with that. But I think it was ALX who actually tweeted it out. ALX probably has a ton of tweets at this point in time, so I don't know if I can find it right now. Yeah, right here. Okay. There it is. There have been no credible reports. And here's the Clark County Communications Center. There's been plenty of credible reports. You're just fucking lying. There's video out there. There's everything. But I understand the point that they're trying to make in terms of the optics of that moment. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. And it's the bias of the ABC reporters that's going to be the true story that is being discussed tonight. I can't believe it. Man, oh man, oh man. Absolutely crazy. Trump won the debate. Don't let anybody say anything differently other than Trump won the debate, because he absolutely did. And he won not necessarily because of his performance in isolation. He won because of his ability to deal and weather with the storm of an ambush. Because I don't think Trump was great in isolation, but I do think Trump was good given the circumstances. So yeah.
I agree. I didn't expect anything different. I knew he was walking into, enemy territory, but again, like for me, it's like he didn't care. It's like because that's what a leader does. They can walk into enemy territory and smile, and like take the grenades over and over and still lead and still end the debate with a boom, just like what he did. I thought that was a perfect ending. So she said a lot of stuff though, like I hope begins to make the rounds on social media. Like, again, not answering the Putin question. It's simple yes or no. That's all it was. The fact that she said that her and her vice president are gun owners, that was like, man, I know. But maybe they're telling her right now, if they ask you what kind of gun, Make sure you say this. You know, it's like it.
Well, there was no way they were going to ask her that question. There was
I
no
know,
way.
but that's like simple. Like, and then the fact that she said that January 6th was on the same level of the Civil War. Like, what? Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's some crazy talk, man.
That was not a debate at all. That was an ambush.
It was an ambush, but our guy, in my opinion, he stood strong. He took it, and he walked out like a Chad. That's what I see. I don't know what I did under the circumstances. I think it could have gone a lot worse, you know. But
I mean, like
it was bad. Like, don't get me wrong, it was terrible. It was perfect setup, ambush, everything. I just expected all that to happen because this lady wouldn't agree to anything. It's my way or no way. Trump is trying to get his message out to the people. She's like, it's my way or no way. Fine. We'll do it your way. I'll step out there and do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm not afraid. You're afraid. You're afraid to talk in front of real people. You're afraid to have a press conference. You're afraid of all that stuff. I'm not afraid. I want the people to see that I am not afraid. That's a leader. That's a leader. What she is I don't know, man. Like, that's just, I don't know what that was for her, but
it was so blatantly obvious, man. So blatantly obvious. I'm stunned at how bad this was for ABC. So the reason that Trump won the debate is because ABC lost the debate. That's really what it comes down to. And somebody tweeted it. I saw it a minute ago. They said, I'm not even sure why Kamala was there. They didn't need her there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like, it should have just been Trump sitting there getting grilled by ABC for 2 hours, because that's essentially all it was. That's all it was.
She was there to tell us that when she grew up, you know, she cooked collard greens in the bathtub and whatever else she was saying. I don't know.
Absolutely insane, man. I cannot believe what I saw. But ultimately, I think that I don't think that this is going to necessarily move the needle in one direction or the other per se. I just don't. I think that there's let's see, hang on. Look, you guys are tagging me in it right here.
AB, yeah.
That's it right there, man. Oh, AB crushing it. Everybody knows it, man. And again, the biggest win is that Elon Musk owns Twitter now. That's because we're able to talk about it. We're able to have discussions about all of this. That is why. If we didn't, if Elon would have never bought Twitter, can you imagine what Twitter would look like?
That's what I was saying. Like, it would have been, you know, they would have had their special clips. They wouldn't let people post their opinions.
Look what I just retweeted.
Lopsided.
AB's on it. I just retweeted it too.
Holy.
I retweeted it. I don't give a damn. I'm retweeting it. Let's go, AB in the house. Let's freaking go.
He's on fire.
Yeah, he is, dude. AB. Let's see. Patrick Bet David. Let's hear what Patrick Bet David has to say, or read it. Thoughts on tonight's debate. During the Biden-Trump debate, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash interrupted and corrected Trump not one single time. Not one single time. Tonight, ABC moderators, whatever his fucking name is, they interrupted Trump 11 times. Tonight was 3-on-1. Kamala did her best to agitate and try to get under Trump's skin by bringing up certain lies. Trump followed to try to get through her skin. Her highlight, blah, 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 blah. His highlight, downfall, blah, 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 blah. Let's go. All right. Either way, this was a better debate than Biden-Trump. Kamala sounded condescending, and Trump sounded like an angry patriot defending his nation. I like that. I like that right there. I like these two lines. So yeah. Kamala sounded like a condescending aunt lecturing kids. Trump sounded like an angry patriot defending his nation. Holy shit. That is the perfect explanation right there. That is perfect, because clearly Trump was angry. Not going to bullshit it. Like, the dude was angry. He was frustrated. Why? Because it was 3 versus 1. Of course he was frustrated, but he handled it the best you could imagine. He handled it the best you could imagine.
100%.
So I'm proud of Trump. I do wish that he wouldn't have been so defensive, but at the same time, I'm not sure he had any other choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's a really good point right there from Patrick Bet David. That right there, that puts it in perspective right there. So I'm going to retweet that one. So if you guys are interested in seeing that one. All right. So
but see, I agree with you. I don't think this is going to move the needle. I think people that were voting for Trump are going to vote anyway. People that are voting for Kamala are going to vote anyway. There was nothing really said to, like you said, Trump was on a little bit on the defensive. I think the last line, though, I hope that rings in people's minds where it's like, you've been in office 3 years. Why don't you just do it? Like, that's it. I mean, that's the whole debate right there. You say you want to do this for small businesses. You say you want to do this for healthcare. You say, go do it. You're in charge right now. Go, it's simple. And he even said that, he goes, why don't you walk down to the White House and do your border, like you said in the debate. I hope that is what I hope rings in everyone's that are undecided. I hope that point rings, and I hope he pushes that over and over again, because that's the reality. Like, they're in charge right now. They can do this if that's what they really want. And that, I think that'll be the turning point for a lot of undecided people, where it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, why do I have to elect her? We elected her already. She should be doing this that she's saying.
Yep.
So it's like that. I hope he pushes that point, further on for the election. So that's just my thoughts. So
Kamala owns a gun. Where does she keep it? Aren't they illegal in DC? Has she ever talked about having a gun before? Genuinely curious.
Exactly.
Why does she need a gun if she's the vice president of the United States of America and she has Secret Service protection? I think there needs to be, like, people need to actually follow up on this. Go, you said you own guns.
Yeah, exactly.
We need more specifics. Why do you own guns? Do you go hunting? Do you do it for your own protection? You don't need it for protection. So why do you own a gun? That needs to be asked. Somebody needs to ask. Well, of course, she's not going to take any fucking questions. She's not going to go. She's not going to do another debate.
That's the thing. There'll be no follow-up to this stuff. And people, they won't ask her, hey, you never answered the Putin question. You never answered. They're not going to do that. So I personally opinion, he just needs to drive home. They're in office now, and they're not doing anything that she's claiming that she wants to do. If she wants to give $50,000 credit to small businesses, and do it next week. You know, like, that's just go ahead, like propose it. What are you doing? You're the vice president. I think that's big for an undecided, in my opinion. So, but who am I? I'm just Jay. I talk Star Wars. I mean, what do I know?
Alex Jones has a poll up right now. Before let me see right here. Alex Jones. There we go. Who won tonight's debate? It's only registering one vote for some reason. Mine. Let me refresh and see what happens. There we go. 91%. I mean, every poll is showing Trump. I mean, but that's I expect that, especially with the people I follow. So I'm not really surprised by that.
That's the thing. Like, I think the pundits for both sides, their polls will show who they think is going to win. But people are saying big win tonight. You got to love the guy, dude. You got to love it, man.
Let's go, Trump.
You got to love it.
We've gotten a couple of proper 199s, Jay. You know what that means, right?
Oh, yeah.
We gotten a couple of proper 199s tonight, okay? And when we get proper 199s...
Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Bigly is a bigly win.
Bigly. Yeah, Trump won 100%. And he won again. I will repeat what I said. under the circumstances of 3v1 and how obvious it was and how much of an easy path she had, and she still didn't say anything of substance. And Trump stood there and handled it and fought and stood his ground and stood tall. And I do like the language that Patrick Bet David put. He sounded like an angry patriot fighting for his country. That's that's what he did.
But you're correct. There was nothing. There was the only thing that she said, and she repeated it about 4 times, is that she wanted to give a $50,000 credit to people starting a small business. Everything else was about like the abortion thing. I mean, I don't know where she's getting her. Anything that Trump said, she was going to say the opposite, no matter what, even though he was correct, giving it back to the states, things like that. Everything that he has done, and she just tries to twist it. There's the fact checking about like 7th, 8th, 9th month abortion. It's all over social media, and every person that he said that said it, there's video of it saying it. So it's like, Trump didn't make that up. But they're making all that stuff. Other than that, she had no policy whatsoever. She just said that we're going to do this and we're going to do that, which was a whole lot of nothing. And Trump is bad. Oh, yep. Yes, that's right. Forgive me. She did say she was going to give $6,000 to people, right, that want to buy new homes. It's just going to raise the prices of homes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it does is when they do that kind of stuff where it's like, we're going to give you $10,000 if you buy a new car. Well, isn't that interesting that the car prices go up? So, I mean, it's just that's not how it works. You put people to work with, and the inflation stuff has got to come down, tremendously. And then people can afford that stuff. You don't have to give them like special prizes if they decide to buy a home or a car. That's just not how it works. So I mean, even someone like me can see that.
But dude, Trump's on fire. All right. Look, I thought it was my best debate ever, especially since it was 3-on-1. Let's go. Let's go, Trump. Owning it, baby. Let's go. Trump is owning it. I love it. Let's go. I love it. So good. Okay, so Jay, you don't have to hang out. I got to read some super chats.
I know.
You can if you want.
I'll stay for a few more minutes.
Okay. So we're going to read some super chats, and we'll obviously we're going to have a square up, but tonight was crazy stuff going on. Valiant Renegade for $100 says Renegade Nation incoming, standing strong with the snake pit and the vaunted 199. Thank you, brother. Let's see. Eric Guidewall says the reason they can't have a crowd is because they know that Donald Trump dominates. Just look at the Hannity interview. They were afraid of that energy. 1,000%.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
1,000%.
The moderators would have got booed out of the building.
Yes,
Easy.
Yes. Trump would have
and it would have set the
it.
tone. It would have definitely set the tone. When you do that in front of a live studio audience and the people can feel the energy, they could feel like all that stuff, and then it projects on the screen. They knew exactly what they were doing by not having anyone in there because they thought that would help Kamala,
Yeah.
But obviously it's just like it's all backfires, just like what it did with Biden when he did that debate. Massive backfire. It'll happen the same. It'll happen the same.
Is he going to do a Hannity interview? Somebody said in the chat. I'll pull Fox News feed up right now. I got my YouTube TV right here. So yeah, if there's a Hannity interview, I'm on it. Let's see.
Campaigning out since 2016.
Can you hear that?
They know his position.
Yeah.
They know very little about Kamala Harris. Tonight, for the first time, despite the best efforts of these moderators, Americans began to learn that this was someone who was raising money to bail rioters out of jail. This was someone who said she wanted to defund ICE. This was someone who basically said that we should be paying for the sex change operations of illegal migrants in detention. This was someone who accused the Border Patrol of whipping Haitian migrants at the border. And this is someone that has been in the White House for 4 years, talking about all these things she's going to do. They've done none of them. She talks about immigration in this bill. They have the power in the law right now to enforce our immigration laws.
I'm here. I'm not going
anywhere. She has
anywhere.
no campaign plan. She just unveiled her policy plan. It was literally, I'm not saying this, New Republic, a liberal left-wing magazine is saying it. She literally cut and pasted from the Joe Biden
she did
platform.
cut and paste it.
And so think about it.
But
She is
Senator,
Joe Biden and worse because of what she stood for in 2019.
56 days. Just bear with me the list. No restrictions on abortion for him and for her and her running mate. Mandatory gun buyback. She lied about that at the end of the debate. No border wall, decriminalizing illegal immigration, free housing, healthcare, education, free college in Minnesota, legal driver's licenses. We've had murder, we've had rape, we've had violent crime, and now we're going to offer what? Taxpayer-funded sex change operations. She supports reparations. The $93 trillion Green New Deal, which would be the end of capitalism. She co-sponsored it. Government health care for all, the elimination of private health insurance.
Right.
How does ABC not bring that up?
Not a single one of those things was asked.
How did they not bring up?
Well,
She said we
again,
got to not say radical Islamic terrorism or illegal
But
alien.
President Trump did a good job of injecting that in there. And in the end of the debate, he said the most important thing, and that is she's been there for 4 years. All these things she's promising, they haven't done. And frankly, she wouldn't answer the most important question she was asked all night. Are Americans, she was asked this, are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? She didn't even answer it. She went on to talk about how she was born to a middle-class family, raised in Canada for part of that time in what apparently is not a middle-class neighborhood. But nonetheless, she went in.
Somebody was asking if I was give it a grade. I got a 10 or like a letter grade. If I was to give this performance with Trump a letter grade, I would give him a flat B. Maybe B plus. Maybe B plus, all things considered. I'd say a B plus. All things considered, I'd give him a B plus. Certainly not an A, but a B plus, all things considered. Yeah, B plus. What about you, Jay?
I give him an A simply because he walked into the enemy's camp, put his foot down, and walked out like a Chad. That's just my
Hey,
opinion.
I like it.
I do think he was running for his life. I think he was defending himself a little too much, like you said. But the fact is, he knew what he was walking into. He didn't care because he cares about this country. He walked in, he put his foot down, and he walked out. You know, and he did the best that he could under the circumstances, which were any other person that walked into that, any other president, you switch roles or whatever, they would crumble like the cookie I had before this debate. That's all I'm saying. They would freaking crumble. He's the only one that could step in there like a man with his boots on, stomp on their faces, and walk out. That's all I'm saying. That's just me. That's just me. People might disagree. That's all right. But under the circumstances,
I want a cookie too. I want a cookie.
Yeah, they're good, man. Chocolate chip.
Well, listen, I'm skeptical that Kamala's team will have her do a second debate. I think they're going to back out of that. I think they're going to send her back to Joe Biden's basement. I think we probably will not see Kamala emerge again from the basement, sort of like the groundhog in her shadow. She's not going to come out again from the basement until election night, other than to go for rallies and read from teleprompters. And listen, I got to say tonight, what Kamala demonstrated is, number one, she cannot defend her disastrous record. Her record is an absolute train wreck. So instead, what she did, what we saw tonight in this quote debate, was her repeating memorized set pieces from her stump speech and from her convention speech. The very opening question, the most important question in any election, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? She refused to answer that because she couldn't answer that, because nobody, unless you are a Mexican drug lord, nobody else is better off than they were 4 years ago. So she didn't answer that. Instead, she's like, I'm from a middle-class family. I want things better for you. And no aspect on inflation. She didn't address that she cast the tie-breaking vote on trillions of dollars of spending that caused inflation, hurting Americans across this country. On energy, she didn't address that she and Joe Biden have waged war on American energy over and over and over again, driving up the cost of gasoline and everything else for Americans. On the border.
Somebody in the chat says, I disagree with Jay about the debate, but I agree with him on the cookies.
That's okay.
The women sexually assaulted, the children brutalized. She didn't take responsibility for any of that. And then on foreign policy, I actually thought on foreign policy she was the weakest. It was absurd when she turned to Donald Trump and says, well, everyone knows you were weak and ineffective. Listen, if Donald Trump were still in the White House, the two wars that broke out under her leadership and Joe Biden's would not have happened. Russia would not have invaded Ukraine, and we would not have the war in Israel. And she took no responsibility for that weakness, nor did she have a word to say about the
Is Trump supposed to do an interview with Hannity? I mean, I see Vivek's you're going to be coming up soon. I'll read some super chats while we're waiting. Dave Chandler, I got that one earlier for the 49. Appreciate you, Dave. JMNZZ450. People are saying, yeah, is he or isn't he supposed to speak with Hannity tonight? Or is he going to do an interview? But I predict the descendant of slave owners will lie tonight. Willie Will with a proper 199. Thank you, Willie Will. Hope you're doing well, brother. Trump is heading to the spin room. All right. JMNZZ450 says this beach isn't even responding to him. She's just reciting prepared statements. This woman is Clinton with no brains. Woof. Get Woke, Go Broke for 50 says FABC. Jerk Off Juggernaut says, how much does Kamala hate her upper teeth? She keeps that upper lip pretty damn tight to them chompers. Looks really R-slurred, if I'm being honest, and I hate my upper teeth a lot. Thank you, Jerk Off Juggernaut. Fluffy Pencil with a proper 199. It says, coverage great as always. We need to keep up the fight. Thank you, brother. Valiant Renegade with another MAGA red $100. And says, like we suspected, this was about Bob Iger's, her heir apparent Dana Walden, the likely next CEO of the evil Disney. Kamala's bestie from Brentwood, where she and Iger go for jogs in the morning. You do not hate Disney enough. Yeah, so that's the thing. So Dana Walden is potentially the next CEO of Disney, and that's been rumored to be for a while. And yeah, this is, I mean, ABC owns or Disney owns ABC. All of this is connected. All of this is connected. JM the Elite Fan for 50 on Rumble says, y'all ever notice Trump has the same shit-eating grin as SpongeBob when he finds out Squidward likes Krabby Patties? Laughing my ass off. You sent that one twice, by the way, JM the Elite Fan. So I don't know if you meant to send that one twice. Or actually, no, you didn't. You didn't. Here it is again. JM the Elite Fan for another 50 says, y'all notice Kamala's held back by the past, but going to the future line, it's unburdened by what has been under a different guise. I'm glad Trump brought up her Marxist, her being a Marxist. That's what she is. Thank you for the 250s over on Rumble, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is sad. So if any, let's see. So Fox and Friends has Donald Trump on tomorrow. Do we know if Trump's doing, is there any live interviews that we can watch right now from Trump? Trump's going to be up at 6:40 a.m. to do a live interview with Fox and Friends. Look at this absolute machine, dude. I mean, I gotta get up in the morning to do, a show. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Trump's getting up at 6:40 in the morning. Here's JD Vance. I want to hear what he's got to say.
Pointers this evening. Okay. All right. Let's get your overall take. I think the thing that's frustrating to me and a lot of people, well, number one, I think 3-on-1 was a little frustrating. Yeah. Number two, the topics that are so relevant, the radical positions that she's taken. Sure. When I first interviewed you, the first interview you did, when you were vice president, when you announced to be the candidate, I asked you every hard question, and you answered every one of them. And I kept you longer because it was supposed to be 10 minutes. I kept you 30. I was being very nice. And so all these radical positions she's taken, still no answers. We have not moved the ball an inch. It is frustrating.
It is frustrating, and the moderators, I think, did a terrible job of following up on that. But look, I think President Trump did a good job at reminding the American people that this is a person who wanted to ban fracking. Here we are in Pennsylvania. She supported banning fracking. She supported defunding the police. She supported opening the border. And I think that though the moderators didn't do their job, I think President Trump did do his job in reminding the American people that she has taken a number of radical positions that, as he joked, she's run away from. Now she's acting like Donald Trump. She's about to put on a MAGA hat because she realizes, by the way,
that was a pretty good line.
It was my favorite moment of the debate. But she is a radical who is trying to run towards Donald Trump's positions because she knows that's what's popular, but it's not what she actually believes. And I think that if you go to her performance, Sean, the most striking part of it is if you actually listen to what she said, it was platitude after slogan. There was no substance. How is she going to lower grocery prices for American citizens?
Rehearse, cliche, use everything that you want to say. And the bottom line is fundamental. I hate Trump.
That's exactly right. And also, look, both of them have records. That's what's different about this election, almost any other election in my lifetime. You have two people with a record. Donald Trump is proud of his record. Kamala Harris is running away from her record because her record is higher grocery prices, homes that are unaffordable, a wide open southern border, rising fentanyl deaths. This is happening because of her failed leadership. And all we need to remind the American people of, and I think Donald Trump did a great job of this tonight, is the reason why these problems happen is because Kamala Harris failed to do her job.
You know, the thing is, she's 50 days, and prior to tonight, she does one interview, no press conferences. You're out there every day. Between you and President Trump.
Same thing me and you say, Jeremy. We're better than these guys. Come on.
It's still a mystery. It's like the candidate protection program, and the media keeps her in there. You know, I have all of these files, the Kamala files, the Walls files, them in there.
I do have breaking news, Jay. This is what we all been waiting for, Jay. Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris for president on Instagram.
Well, it's over now.
Everything is coordinated. They have been waiting for this moment to control the narrative. That is what this was for. This is all part of the plan.
It's over.
All
it was a
part
good
of the
run.
plan.
Trump, it was a good run.
Yep.
The Swifties have spoken.
Good Lord. What a freaking
Hey,
clown
she's holding
show.
a cat. If you want your cat safe, you shouldn't be voting for Kamala. Why are you holding a cat?
Jesus.
I don't expect anything. You want to know what's crazy though? I will give Twitter one thing. Twitter has opened the eyes to a lot of normie people on how crazy people in Hollywood actually are. It really has. A lot of people are like, oh, I like Mark Hamill. He was that Luke Skywalker guy. They start following him on social media, and they're like, good God, you're insufferable. I'm not following you. I don't even want to see your face anymore. It's like, that's just, it just shows them who they are. So they don't really, I don't think they have the pull and stuff that they think they used to have years ago.
Oh boy, oh boy. Steve IM says, check Trump 2004 SNL chicken tenders. It's funny. It is. I can't watch it on YouTube because they'll block it because it's an SNL thing. And they've kind of tried to scrub that from the internet. But yeah, it is hilarious. I love that one.
I was being sarcastic. I know it's not over.
No, I never said that. I'm a gun owner. I'm like, that is exactly what you said. Yes, you did. It's on tape. We have it. We played it.
That's right. Well, that's the entire trick here, right? Is the media is helping Kamala Harris run away from her record, but we have her on tape saying all these things, Sean. And by the way, when she said that she supported a ban on fracking, then she changed her view in 2020.
Can I put a spin on this? It's pretty clear with Taylor Swift doing this endorsement. It's pretty clear that the Harris campaign, that they've been waiting for that one. They've been waiting. They're like, when are we gonna drop that one? So I'm wondering if the optics of this whole thing were not going the way that they wanted, and they were like, Taylor, it's now. It's calling the Taylor Swift's crew, be like, it's now. That's 100% what happened.
Absolutely.
Because they are nervous, because they think like, holy shit, man, this debate did not play like we wanted to because the moderators are getting crushed. They're going viral. That is a panic moment right there. That's a panic moment. Yep, I got to tweet that. I got to tweet that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna quote tweet Geeks and Gamers.
I just assume that's just how it is. It's kind of like, hey, something bad's happening. Get one of those celebrity people that everybody loves. Oprah, you're next. Beyonce, just hold on. Say.
All right, here we go. Bait for Kamala. Trump won. Boom. All right, there we go. Panic announcement. They were scared. Oh, did he? I bet. Can you imagine? I can't imagine what that clown had to say. Can't imagine what that clown had to say. Panic announcement. They were scared after the disastrous debate for Kamala. There we go. Boom. All right. Quote tweeted. There we go. All right, let's see. What did Mark say?
Leadership that is
Here,
ruined.
pull it up.
He says we are. Basically goes angry, defensive, and weird. We are not going back.
mean, this whole nonsense about like she's running as the change candidate. The fuck are you talking about? You are the establishment. You are there. You're the vice president right now. Democrats have been in power, what is it, like 12 of the last 16 years? It's insane, dude. I can't believe how insane all of this is.
The funniest thing is like the comments under his tweet are like, oh, thank you, Mark. Trump refused to answer a single question. Your candidate couldn't answer a simple yes or no question. What is wrong with these people? They can't be real.
I know, man.
They don't watch, or they just want. I don't know.
Yeah, here's so yeah, you got a lot going on, man. Let's see. RG3. You know RG3. You know, used to work for ESPN, has a lot of leftist takes. Look at that. He put out a poll, got Trump right there. All right, going back to RFK. Here we go.
Your father to your uncle, I think it has no resemblance to the Democratic Party today. And this is the frustrating part about tonight, the radicalization, the views stated by Kamala. You know, they weren't asked by the moderators. To me, it was a failed opportunity. I think the American people were failed tonight.
I was disappointed by the evident bias of the moderators who were fact-checking constantly, kind of trivialities by President Trump, but didn't, as far as I saw, they didn't fact-check Vice President Harris a single time. But you're right, Sean, the party that I grew up in doesn't exist anymore. The party of Robert Kennedy and John Kennedy was a party of peace. It was a party of resisting the corporate subversion of American democracy. It was the party of civil rights and constitutional rights, particularly censorship, very opposed to censorship and surveillance. It was the party of protecting
Somebody said he sounds like Jay eating a cake,
including particularly children. Today, the Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of censorship. It's the party of surveillance. We saw Dick Cheney and John Bolton endorse, along with 255 neocons, endorse Vice President Harris this week. They came out of exile, where they were sent after the Patriot Act. They were sent after the war in Iraq, the biggest foreign policy debacle in American history. And they're not endorsing Vice President Harris because they've changed their minds. They're endorsing her because she represents their worldview: more censorship, more war, more surveillance, and less liberty and constitutional rights.
You learned a lot in the course of your campaign. They talk about democracy in peril, but everything, the entire force of the Democratic establishment, if you will, they just went in for the political, death of your campaign. They did not want you to get to. They didn't want you to get a first base.
That's the other
ballot.
That's the other thing, is that they've abandoned democracy. The Democratic Party is now about centralized control. It's about losing faith in the demos, the people, and about abolishing elections, abolishing our ability to hear different points of view, to hear dissent. In my case, of course, they got rid of the primaries. They literally abolished many of the primaries so that President Biden wouldn't have to debate me, wouldn't have to run against me.
Let me dip in. I guess Kamala's at one of her watch parties or something. I don't know what she's saying. Let's just dip in for a second.
And let me just say that I think we all know that tonight was a night that highlights something that you all have been working so hard on. We have folks here who have been knocking on doors. Well,
Okay, I can't listen.
Can I share something just for a second?
Yeah, you can share literally anything. I would rather hear Chris Christie fart than to hear her talk. Okay. AB.
That's freaking funny. He ain't holding back, dude.
No, he ain't. No, he
It doesn't
ain't.
matter if you tell the truth because she wasn't fact-checked. She told a lot of lies about Trump in 2025, lies about mandatory gun buybacks, which she did support, lying about fracking, lying about a national...
Let's see. John says, Jeremy, will the Geek Singers bag on 221B be available again, or is it gone forever? I really want to get one now that I have the funds. Trump 2024. We're going to have a different time. It's going to be similar, but yes, we will be bringing backpacks back again in the very near future. And really, it comes down to you guys. Like, the more you guys demand something, the more I know you want it. So, like, right now, we do have the campaign with the T-shirts and the hats. So I hope we move a lot of those. And we have moved quite a few. You've got a week left before that campaign ends. So the IDOT shirt, we're not selling those at the meetup. So it's once they're gone, we're going to sell through the campaign, or when the campaign closes, they're done. Then the Flex Fit hats, we're not going to have those for sale either. So will we bring the Flex Fit hats back in the future? I mean, that's a potential, but no promises on that. But we'll see how they do. But yeah, you guys keep telling me.
And President Trump is in the spin room, and let's listen in. Do we have audio of that?
Foreign trade was everything, and I think it was the best debate I've ever personally that I've had. We're getting polls that show 92 to 6, 88 to 11. We're having a lot of great polls that just came out. Phone polls and lots of other polls, but you see the polls. A very important debate. Now, she wants to do another one because she got beaten tonight, but I don't know. Why wouldn't you look at her? The polls are indicating that we got 90%, 60%, 72%, 71%, and 89%.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Very good. But beyond the polls, I felt very good. I had a good time doing it. I hate to speak about our country so negatively, but that's what happened. They ruined our country. They destroyed our country. So I hope you're all having a good time. It was a very interesting.
Did she get under your skin, sir?
So confident you won tonight. Why are you here? Why not let the performance speak for itself? Well, I think it did, but people said, would I come here? And I made an
He goes right out and talks to the media. While
Literally
Kamala
talking to the fucking media. You got this clown over here like protecting herself. He's talking to the media.
I have no idea. Mr. President.
God, who the heck? Whose cameraman is that?
This guy's terrible.
Well, I think the moderators were very unfair, but basically it was 3-on-1. I thought they were very unfair. Everybody did. But despite that, they're saying that they
Mr. President,
why not a second debate?
I assume the moderators would be there. That right there is.
I'm getting dizzy, bro.
I know. What the freak? What is he doing?
Mr. President,
why not a second debate?
She wants a second debate because she lost. They immediately called for a second debate because they lost. So we'll, think about that. She immediately called for a second. Look,
if she lost, will you do it? Will you do it?
The worst poll that we've had was 71 that I see. 71% are like 24 or 25.
Mr. President, did she get under your skin?
President Trump, over here. President Trump.
Michael Bay cameraman. Oh my God! What? How can they not hold it steady?
All right, Joe, we can't really hear a lot of it. I've just been told President Trump may make his way over here and join us live, which would be great. But first, we have the free state of Florida my governor, Ron DeSantis, is with us. Governor DeSantis, great to have you,
Oh,
sir.
this will
How
be
are you?
interesting.
I'm doing good, Sean. Good to see you.
You kind of had your own little version of a kind of big moment debate with Gavin Newsom, which I thought was a lot fun for me to be able to be a part of and moderate. These debates are interesting. I would argue that was far more substantive than Kamala Harris and cliches and no questions about the most radical positions any one person has ever taken in her life. And that, to me, is a failure of ABC. I think they're the biggest loser of everybody tonight, and they did a disservice to the American people because there's so much that they did not ask her that we need answers to. You still support the Green New Deal? That would destroy capitalism. Do you still support, government-run health care for all? It would eliminate private health insurance. Do you still support, free housing, health care, education, and sex change operations for illegals? No fracking, no drilling, defund, dismantle. I mean, there's so much there. I'm at this point getting frustrated that nobody will pin her down or even ask her. That's frustrating to me.
Well, right. I mean, there's different ways you can moderate. When CNN did the debate with Biden and Trump, I'll give Dana Bash and Tapper credit. They asked questions. They got out of the way. They were substantive. They really weren't biased. And for CNN, I think a lot of people were surprised. This one, they only asked the follow-ups to Donald Trump to try to pin him down. They tried to fact-check him, but fact-checking him on things that he was right on, like some of the late-term abortion laws in some of the liberal states. Donald Trump was right about that, and they incorrectly fact-checked him. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris. She repeated lies like the Charlottesville fine people hoax and other things. Never called her to account. But you're right, Sean. From the very first question, she was asked, are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? She did not answer the question. She started rambling on about growing up in a middle-class family, which I'm sure is nice, but that doesn't answer why you have been in power for 3.5 years and Americans are worse off. They did not pin her down and ask follow-up questions on all her flip-flops. She acts like she's always been a big supporter of fracking, never addressed her open borders past. And so, yes, it was a 3-on-1 debate. It was disappointing that she didn't have her feet held to the fire by the moderators. They went out of their way to try to do that to Donald Trump. But I think people that take away from this debate, even with all that, Donald Trump is the candidate that's going to change things. Kamala Harris is the candidate that, as President Trump said in his closing statement, she's been there 3.5 years. Why hasn't she fixed any of these problems during that time? She does not have an answer to that question.
Good comments from DeSantis.
It doesn't. But, at some point, isn't it really the moderators, isn't that their job? I mean, if you say you want a $93 trillion Green New Deal and you're going to eliminate the filibuster to pass it, shouldn't we ask that? If you want to mandate, government health care and eliminate private insurance, shouldn't that have come up in this debate?
This Fox News cameraman is terrible.
I
can't watch.
Taxpayers for convicted criminals and illegal immigrants. Don't you think that would come up in a debate?
Yeah, well, it was all about looking at all this stuff through a left of center prism. So they were hitting Trump on, of course, January 6th. They were hitting Trump on some of his statements about holding people accountable. All these different things, that's right out of what a left of center person would do. They never hit her from the right. She took more liberal positions when she ran for president than Bernie Sanders did on a wide variety of issues. And yet they acted like that wasn't even worth bringing up, especially as she's trying to present herself to the American people as someone much different than the U.S. senator who took all those very left-wing positions, whether it's abolishing private health insurance, whether it's abolishing fracking, or whether it's paying for, with taxpayer dollars, as you mentioned, Sean, sex change operations for illegal aliens. You've got to be kidding me. And yet they never broach those subjects in a serious way.
All right, Governor DeSantis, we appreciate you being with us. Joining us now is RNC co-chair Laura Trump. There is a chance, I think your father-in-law is making his way over here if he can get through the mob.
Crazier things have happened, Sean, so we'll see, yes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, you watched the debate. Let's get your overall view.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3-on-1. It was sort of what we expected. Kamala Harris got up there. She lied. She brought up Project 2025. Not just once, but multiple times, knowing full well that's something Donald Trump has disavowed. He says, I have nothing to do with it. And unfortunately for the American people, I don't think there was anything they took away from this debate tonight that was substantive. There wasn't an opportunity for there to be a debate about how is your life going to be better if one of these two people is in the White House. Now, Donald Trump, fortunately, has been president for 4 years, and he was able to remind people how much better off their life was and how much worse off you are right now while Kamala Harris is in the White House. But 3-on-1, what we expected, and a lot of platitudes, not a lot of information from Kamala.
Yeah, you look at it from so many different angles, and as I've been bringing it up throughout the night tonight, I mean, all these radical positions, she's gone 50 plus days without answering those questions. We have early voting starting in this state in a week. And is this something that you have to communicate through ads? Is this something that, they're saying that they want a second debate. I don't know if I trust anything that they say, to be honest. I mean, she told a lot of lies tonight about President Trump.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they didn't fact check a single one of those, Sean. Imagine that.
Yes.
Look, Donald Trump would love another debate. He would love 3 debates because that's traditional what you do for presidential elections. Obviously, we know that that's probably not going to happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to talk to the American people. And guess who's here? Donald Trump himself came because he couldn't actually talk to the American
He's
people.
going to take your time. But I hate
yeah, that's okay. He can have it.
All right, we'll talk with President Trump in just a second, but the former president called out Kamala's election year flip-flops and even joked about sending her a MAGA hat. Take a look.
We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country.
I feel good. All right, joining us now, he's on the set in the spin room himself. Did you have fun?
I had a good time.
Hey.
I think it was our best debate ever. I thought it was really good. We had 3 against 1, but I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of negative kind of stuff. Look, I saw on your show last night, they had 100% positive coverage on ABC, and I had 94% negative coverage.
93% negative.
I exaggerated.
You got an extra percent non-negative. As you were with her tonight, to think that we come out of this debate and we have no answer to her co-sponsoring the Green New Deal, $93 trillion,
Yeah.
I say the end of capitalism, to come out of this, government-run health care and no answer to eliminating private health insurance.
Well, we brought them all up. Every one of the
bring a
things
lot of
that
it up.
we brought it all up. And I also ended with, why hasn't she done it before? Why didn't she fix, she's there complaining. Why didn't she fix all these
Were you
things
really
that she's
willing to
complaining
leave the
That's
stage
it. Push
and,
that
and go
message,
home
man.
if she was going to go fix it in Washington?
No, you know what? I would have left. I would have said, go home and fix it. I'll leave with you, okay? But she doesn't, she's not going to fix it. So she's complaining about all the stuff that's wrong with the country, and they've been there for 3.5 years.
Yep.
And I wanted to save that for my last little summation. And I actually mentioned in there too. I just thought it was a great debate. I think we showed the weakness, but the sad part is they're destroying our country. When you get right down to it. Debate, good debate. I enjoyed it.
Jeremy is the
But
Fox
it's a very sad thing because our
dropped my
country is
phone.
in decline. We are really being laughed at all over the world. And that's tough to take.
Do you think it's strange that somebody could support something as radical as sex change operations paid for by taxpayers for convicts and illegal immigrants, and for illegal immigrants, free housing, health care, education, and not get asked a question about it?
But I brought it up.
You did bring it up.
Of course, they weren't so happy when I brought it up, but I brought it up. I brought up the fact that they're doing sex change operations on illegal immigrants And those are expensive operations, and they shouldn't be done for a lot of reasons.
There were a lot of things said that weren't true about you tonight, that you had supported a national abortion ban.
Yeah.
You've never said that.
I never said
that you support Project 25.
Correct.
You never read it? I don't even know what it is either.
I don't want to read it.
Okay, number two, that she said in 2000, I took back my position on banning fracking.
Yep.
No, CNN fact-checked that and said no. The mandatory gun buyback at the end of the debate, she lied about that too.
That's right. That's
And
right.
you
She
did
wants
call
to
her out for a lot of
confiscate. I called her out on everything that you said. I think I got everything out. Now, with all of that being said, I was amazed because I really thought that'd be fair. I have to say, CNN a few weeks ago was sort of fair against Biden. But this one was stacked. I figured it would be after watching 100% positive coverage of her. And she's done a terrible job as vice president. And look, she's the worst vice president we've ever had. She was the border czar, the worst border ever in the history of the world, not just in our country. And he's the worst president we've ever had.
So
Sean, they're destroying our country.
I'm very aware. And if we look at her tax plan, which is, okay, price gauging or gouging, and the largest tax increase not only in American history, but world history, her campaign is saying tonight, Washington Post is reporting that she wants a second debate. What's
That's
your
because
answer?
she lost. She wants it because she lost.
Do you have an answer?
Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. But if you won the debate, I sort of think maybe I shouldn't do it. Why should I do another debate? She immediately said, we want another debate. That's, you know what happens when you're a prize fighter and you lose? You immediately want a new fight.
You want a rematch.
You want a
That's
rematch.
true.
The guy that won is sort of happy and thinking about it.
Would you be inclined to say yes, or you don't
Maybe
know?
if it was on a fair network, I would do that. But
I think let Hannity moderate it.
yeah, no, I think
like
that
I
would be
did
fair.
Newsom and Ron DeSantis.
I think it would be fair. You would be fair,
I
actually.
would be
you want
fair.
to know the truth.
I'd let you both talk. I'd let you go at each other.
I thought they would be fair. They weren't, but I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
We have the best policy. She has no policy.
You know, one thing that interested me, because I've known you for a long time, and one of the things that I was watching in you tonight is that you were all business. You know, a lot of times when you're at your rallies or we do a town hall.
Sean, they're destroying our country.
Is that what it was? Is it the seriousness of the moment?
There's nothing to smile about. You know, I'm a good smiler, but there's nothing to smile about. They're destroying. We have 21 million people that have been released into our country.
I'm the
And
best
many of them
smiler.
are criminals and terrorists and people
Laken
from
Riley,
mental institutions.
Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary.
All dead.
I
A good
list all
smiler.
these names on the show of people murdered, people raped, people victims of violent crime, names a lot of people never heard of. You've called Laken Riley's family.
I did. I was with them. I was with them.
Who else do you've met
She was
other
just
families? You've met the
incredible.
families of
I met them all.
Afghanistan.
Nungary. I met.
You met Nungary's family.
Yeah, I met 5 or 6 of them. Not even talking about the 13 soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan, the families of the 13 soldiers, which Biden won't even talk to, and he's the one that caused their death. Just as if he had a pistol in his hand, he and her caused their death. Just as if literally they had a gun in their hand.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When you're in a situation like that, what is going through your mind? What goes on behind the scenes? How do you prepare for your debates?
Well, I think you sort of, I always say I've been preparing all my life for these debates. You know, you can't go in like she did. She goes into a room and she memorized lines, more or less. I thought I got one cute one. I'm talking where I said, I'm talking, when she started interrupting me.
She said that to Mike
I
Pence.
wanted
I'm
to get
speaking.
even for that. You know,
Yeah.
that was not very nice what she did. But no, I thought it was, we're getting great reviews.
It's interesting that the one line that really stuck out that did make me laugh out loud is when you said you're going to send her a MAGA hat. There are a lot of positions now. All of a sudden, she's come over to your side. She's been against the border wall. She's
Right.
been against.
There's only one problem.
Yeah.
If she ever won, immediately from the day after that election, everything would go back to confiscate your guns and forget about oil and everything else. You know, they were cutting back on oil way back. They got rid of Anwar, the biggest oil site perhaps in the world in Alaska. They did things that are so bad and so destructive, but energy prices started doubling up, and she immediately went back to the Trump plan. But I would have been now 4 times higher than they are right now, because that was 3.5 years ago.
Right.
When she cut everything out. She went to wind and went to all this other stuff that doesn't work from an economic standpoint and even a visual standpoint. I don't get the wind. You take these gorgeous plains and deserts and all this stuff. They put these windmills up. They go up like a 30-story building in some cases. They destroy everything. They cut out all, and the environmentalists say, aren't they wonderful? But it's the most expensive form of energy, and it's never going to do for our country.
So if we look at the issues on the economy, on immigration, on law and order, on energy, and America's role in the world, is there anything you could point to that you would say they have been successful on?
No, they have been unsuccessful at everything. And even the economy, I said, as part of the economy, you've let 21 million people, more than that, I think, with all the gotaways.
By the
That's
way,
killing our
including known
economy.
terrorists, and we do have the murders and the rapes and the violent crimes.
Oh, and you haven't seen anything yet. Where do you see it in the months to come?
You know what scares me, and I've said this on the air, is by having open borders, unvetted illegal immigrants, that I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when that this country is going to be attacked.
If you look at Springfield, Ohio, look at what's happening there. You look at Aurora in Colorado, these beautiful little towns and little cities, small cities, they're being taken over by illegal migrants. I mean, they're people that poured in, and they have weapons like our military doesn't have. You know, they have AK-47s. They have weapons like our military doesn't have. And, you know, some sheriff in one of these towns where he's got 2 deputies and they're not into this. There's no way they can protect the people from this. But look at what's going on in Springfield today. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
We really appreciate it. I know your people are calling for you to roll. What made you come to the spin room?
I just felt I wanted to. I was very happy with the result. It's a very unfair situation. They've weaponized our government politically, so, I mean, that's unfair. And I just felt we had a great night. And I'd come over here. I actually gave a little bit of a news conference. We were swarmed.
By the way, I could hear it. You were
we
interrupting my show, by the way, just for the
but
record.
I had to come over and do yours. I would hate like heck to leave here, and I didn't do
No,
so.
I'd be mad.
I would have been.
I would take that as a personal offense.
I would have been in big trouble.
All right, so no answer on their offer for a second debate.
Again, the reason you do a second debate is if you lose, and they lost. And we looked at one poll; it was 92-7.
Yeah.
We looked at another one, 86-3.
Wow.
I mean, we have all of these results coming in, but I'll think about it. It's very quick.
Mr. President, thank you for taking time. We really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. By the way, tomorrow, by the way, on Fox and Friends tomorrow.
I am indeed, 6:45 in the morning.
Oh, boy.
And then I'm going down to...
You're going to get a lot of sleep tonight.
Then I'm going down to the World Trade to honor the people that died September 11th.
You know what scares me? We have known terrorists in the country.
Yeah.
And we don't know where they are. And we don't even know about the gotaways.
More than we've ever had before, times 10.
Scary.
Yep, scary.
All right. President Trump will be on Fox and Friends tomorrow morning. We'll have with more reaction to the debate from tonight.
Is Jeremy muted this whole time?
Sorry. Here we go. All right. So Trump going into the spin room and just taking questions like that is absolutely fantastic.
Chad.
Okay. What?
It's Chad behavior, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And while she runs to her protective bubble and talks to people that are just going to cheer for her, he goes into the hostile environment of the press, yelling at him, screaming, saying, "Oh, why did you do this? Why did you say that? Are you going to take the debate?" Because that's what he does, because that's what a leader does. That's what a leader does. So, woo. All right, Jay, are you going to get out of here?
I'm gonna head out. I'm actually.
Hey, look at this. Look at this. Trump won. They're eating the dogs. 75,000 posts.
The thing is, Donald Trump Jr. just posted the audio from a 911 call where they were reporting that people are killing geese. You know, that migrants are killing animals, stuff like that. So it's out there. So what's even scarier, if Kamala didn't know all that stuff was going on, that just proves another bad leader. Like she has nothing. But all right, I don't really like to plug on other people's channels, but a lot of people ask, and this will never, ever, ever conflict with Cobra Cast. This is my favorite political. I love being on this show. But if you head over, if you sub to my Welcome to the Rebellion channel, that's where we talk politics and we interview people and stuff like that.
You finally started a political channel?
Yeah.
Finally, it's about freaking time.
Yeah. I uploaded some of my here. I'm sharing. I don't care. I finally uploaded some of the older podcast stuff up there just to have stuff up. But yeah, it's gonna go over there. So if you wanna subscribe, that's where all my hot takes are gonna be.
It's about damn time.
There you go.
About damn
mods
time.
have the links. So, but yeah, I'm gonna let you read super chats. I'm probably gonna go play Fortnite after that debate. And if you're still up and you want to join me, you're welcome to, brother.
All right,
Hey,
man.
thanks for the invite, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course,
Snake made
man.
the greatest chat ever. Always. So
Yep. Take it easy, Jay.
Might see you tomorrow. I don't know yet.
Maybe. We'll see. Drunk 3PO, everybody. So shout out to Jay. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, I saw this one right here. ABC aired this poll. 92% Trump won. No clear winner, 4%. Harris, 4%. ABC ran that poll. ABC aired that. The company, the network that rigged this whole thing against Trump, they put that up. And a lot of the polls are showing that most people think that Donald Trump won and won by a lot. And that is because everybody saw the rigged game that it was, because it was absolutely rigged against Trump. There's no doubt about that. They got embarrassed tonight. ABC got embarrassed. And I'm glad that they did get embarrassed, because they deserved to be embarrassed with what we saw tonight. So let's see here. Yeah, you've got a lot of different ones. The Trump War Room is tweeting out a lot of these results of a lot of these polls. And again, there's going to be some that are going to have Harris winning, because that's just how it goes. We get that. You know, I understand that. Right here, though, I want to listen to this really quickly. Here we go. Listen to this.
Fortunately, we had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. But none of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass. Fortunately, we had moderators.
So there you go. Everybody's calling out the moderators for the disastrous job tonight. And I'm glad that they are. Because it was a disaster. We got Zenaximus on Streamlabs for a $100 and says the gall of these people to keep bringing up Trump and COVID has been insane. Never seen such tyranny that when these people were able to take charge. If you need a refresher, watch Razor Fist video. Do not forget, do not forgive on how far they went. Hail to Razor Fist. Hail to Razor Fist. So thank you, Zenaximus. I appreciate that over on Streamlabs. You demand. And again, one more time, since we're still here, we got people still here. Campaign is still going on. 221B. If you want to get the IDOT t-shirt for the San Antonio meetup, we will be at SpaceCon at the end of October, and we are having a meetup prior to SpaceCon in Texas, in San Antonio. That is the IDOT mascot for Geeks and Gamers. Very first time he's ever been revealed. So these shirts will be available for another week, and then they're gone. So make sure you get one if you're interested. And then also we've got the Geeks and Gamers 199 online original hats. These are flex fit hats. So if you're interested, you got front and you got back. These are going to be very good quality hats, good quality shirts. So keep that in mind. And those are over on 221B Tactical if you're interested. So just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Mods will be dropping links over there. If you're interested, I appreciate it. Okay, we got Z Herb for a 50. Says, how can Kamala turn Afghanistan? A huge mistake by the administration she's part of on Trump. It's pathetic. They fucked up, not Trump, but people are so deranged they will blame Trump no matter what. Insane. Nothing but lies and bias here tonight. I agree completely. The bias was off the charts. It really was. And let's see here. We've got Stars and Stripes for the 1999. Says, Jeremy, you ready for this shit show? Uploading cement on a ship streaming D-Day Cobra 199. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mark Schaefer for 20 says, Jay plus Gina, who needs Jeremy? Well, I agree. Clinton for 20 says, this is for letting Jay cook when he wants. Only 20. Just say what you want, Jay. Just say it loud and proud. Sorry I didn't get that while I was still here. Let's see. Kelly R says, fictional characters at his rallies. Please, Donald, remind her of the snake. That's right. That is absolutely right. Let me I want to pull something up really quick. This is absolutely, I still can't believe how insane this whole night has been, with how obvious it was that they just colluded against Trump tonight. That's exactly what they did. And oh my goodness, yeah, this right here. Look what the Onion said. Look at this. Look at that. The Onion, fact check. Trump, people don't leave my rallies. True. They're carried out in body bags. Is that tweet still up? Is that tweet still up? Holy crap, if that tweet is still up. That is insane if that is still up. Holy crap. Oh, excuse me. I had to sneeze. But can somebody confirm dark but a joke? Oh no, I get it. I don't have the problem with the joke. I have a problem with the joke would not be allowed for the opposite side if that was the case. That's the problem. The joke is not the problem. The hypocrisy, all right? The hypocrisy is the problem. That's my issue.
It's up.
The tweet is still up? Is there?
I'm sending it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I want to see if it's being ratioed or whatever. So yeah, that's not the problem. The joke is not the problem. Never is the problem for me. Could that joke be flipped if it was something that happened at an Obama rally or a Clinton rally or whatever? And you know the answer to that question. You already know the answer to that question. I'll go to that in just a minute. I need to catch up on these super chats. So I just want to know if it was up though. Star Killer for a 100 from PLN, wherever that's from, says they are not journalists. They are agents spewing propaganda. But of course, they try not to be obvious. But in the end, they are obvious. You want to check who is journalist and who is the agent? Just listen to them carefully. Thank you. 8 o'clock. For 20 says debates are so rigged that Kamala hasn't ran away from the media yet. Michael Gonzalez for 10 says Kamala defeated herself with the facial expressions, her laugh and interruptions. She gave zero policy. She did nothing but attack and lie about Trump. How she brushed over the economy is insane. Go Trump. Absolutely. Madney for 20 says Kamala grew up in Berkeley while being raised by her single Indian mother. She then moved to Montreal for college before moving back to San Francisco to date Willie. I'm sure she has plenty of experience with firearms. Let's see. Rasilin says for 20 says, I'm going to state this one again, probably once again, because it has more than one meaning. Kamala is for the no state solution. No borders, no Israel, no Palestine, no guns, no gas, no health, no hope, no home, no nation. Just Kamala Geddon. It's terrifying because you're accurate. It's terrifying because you're accurate. Jeff Hill says, I don't know how Trump does it, but he's amazing. All these interviews, rally after rally. God bless him. We need him back in office. 100%. Okay, let's see. Ron Cook for 10 says, did you see that they lowered Kamala's podium on the debate stage? She looks taller. She's 5'4". She's a 5'4" piece of shit trying to stand with the 6'3" king of the world, Donald J. Trump. I did see that, and it was ridiculous. Yave, the PB man, says, I only hope our boy Trump rams Kamala as hard as Beardo rams Jeremy. Let's go. Straight love for you, Jer. Straight love back, brother. 8 o'clock says they think they'll kick this candidate out like the last one once Trump knocks this debate out of the park. Mike Brown says, been watching your videos and amazing, your politics and everything else, and from Florida too. Showing love to everyone. Stay MAGA. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Mike. River Miles for 10 says, you did it, Joe. You did 9/11, Dr. Jill. The MAA runs says Mike Tyson versus Peter McNeely. KO time. I got that reference. Madney says, let's go. Celebrating my mom's 78th today and Trump taking Kamala to task. A good day. Wanted to pop to show support before dinner. Thank you. What's up?
Happy birthday.
Oh, look at there. You got a happy birthday from Krista. Look at there. How you doing, Krista? You good?
I'm good.
All right. Darth Corbag says, if Gina Carano is watching, I want to say, Gina, I love you for the strong person you are. You have inspired me to stand up for myself and not fear cancellation. That's awesome. Gina was watching earlier. I don't know if she's still watching, but she was earlier. Gay Carpenter 77 says Chris Christie equals Star Wars explained. Trump equals Star Wars theory. Maddening 419 says, Kamala, it's time to give us specifics regarding the policies you wish to implement. Deafening silence, perhaps a cricket. Biker Angelo says the experts gave us the 2008 housing crisis. The experts gave us a jab filled with myocarditis. The experts said Hunter's laptop was fake. Pardon my rational skepticism. 100%. Shadow saying 737. My whole chat is going crazy and I don't know why on the back end. Is the chat okay? Are we getting spammed? Is that what it was? Yeah, it looks like we were getting spammed. Was that me, Krista? Can you see?
I don't see anything.
I've got the live chat open and not top chat.
Oh, let me change it.
Yeah, it looks like they got him. It was a spam.
Oh, yeah. I see a lot now.
Okay. Jessica said it freaked me out. Yeah, I was kind of wondering. I was like, what the hell's going on in my chat right now? Shadow says, take a shot every time they mention Project 2025. Maddening 419 says Trump is still coming off far more coherently than her emotional storytelling. Stop. What are your policies, ma'am? We need to know. Yeah, we know his exactly. Craig Ghost says she's trying to look pensive. Just makes her look like she's holding in a queef. Maddening says, lady, you're in office right now and you've done nothing. Her smugness is so unbelievable. Unbelievable that people support her. Oh, wait, she's storytelling again. Let's have a listen. River Miles says Kamala was hired by 0 American people. 1,000%. Eric Heffelfinger says he's not doing as good as I hoped. He's rambling and falling for traps. 7 out of 10. I'd go for borderline, 7.5, 8 out of 10 for him. Eric Guidewall says this is why the mainstream media is dead and why I support Cobra Cast, because you are the voice of the people. Thank you. Ministry of Wrong Think says Twitter is the world's town square for engagement farming, bots, fake news, propaganda. It's an open market for corporations and governments to pay the rights to our minds. Elon saved the world. Twitter was the world's town square for engagement. You're right. Yeah, Elon did save us. JRG says ABC is Disney. WDW Pro said in terms of fair play, they are the worst of the worst. That is saying something when compared to CBS and NBC. America is watching a trial, not a debate. 1,000%. NPC Hero says, unfortunately, they didn't win this for Trump. The normies watching this debate, who Trump could have won over, won't see through ABC's bias. This is a disgrace, and the beta moderator should be ashamed.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
So for me, it is midnight, so the next day. And that means it marks the 23 years since 9/11. And I just want to say prayers to the victims and families, and we will always remember. And also shout out to the heroes.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Krista. It's a horrible day, a horrible memory, and I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget, what we witnessed. And you've been to the 9/11 memorial, haven't you?
Yeah, the first time with you and Jay, actually, because I really wanted to go to pay my respects. And it's just so crazy. You really feel like the air is so heavy and it's just like a sad area.
It's awful. It's tough going there. Like, I didn't think that it would hit me that hard when I went there for the first time, but it did. It hit me. It was really emotional to go there. It was really tough. And I remember like telling myself, I was like, look, there's no way this is like, I mean, it's obviously sad and everything, but when I go there, I'm not gonna feel it like, and I was 100% wrong. I was 100% wrong. You can feel the weight of that moment, and it hits you tough, and it's very emotional. So, absolutely. But well said, Krista. Thank you. Troy News says Kamala has been campaigning the past few weeks for universal background checks, red flag laws, and mandatory gun buyback. Yet she owns a gun, and Trump is lying. One of the many lies tonight. 100%. Let's see. Craft Beer Guy says Donald Trump just said what everybody wanted to hear. Why haven't they done anything in the last 3.5 years? Even though he was triple teamed, he's still a total Chad. Yep. Troy News says Kamala didn't come off as stupid to me. It was even worse. Her ability to tell bold-faced lies is terrifying. Imagine all the innocent men she sent to prison with those lies. Pure wickedness. Drew and Charlie says, love you, Jeremy. Trump let the media manipulate him, and he played defense instead of redirecting. I was disappointed, but I think most people have already decided. I understand where you're coming from for sure. I do. Grand Potato says, okay, everyone, pack it up and go home. We're done for. The Swifties have spoken. Eat the bugs and own and nothing and like it. Crawl back under your rocks. Await the end of the world. Samuel B says, it's Deborah Chow. Let me see. And then, man, you guys have been crazy tonight. We're going to have to do a square up. So you know what we're going to do the square up? You know when we're going to do it? We're going to do it this Thursday. That's right. This Thursday. Raised by Wolves OG on Rumble for 10 says, I worry about the future if the left succeeds in cheating in November. The right in America can't take much more. Hail the 199 IDOTs. Thank you so very much. And we're going to call it there. We're going to do a square up on Thursday. I have to do Geeks and Gamers work, so I've got to stay on point because, as you know, that channel just hit 400,000 subscribers. So we're going to do a square up on Thursday for the rest of the Super Chats. So bonus Cobra Cast this week. So I really appreciate all of you guys. You guys are the best. And yes, I am committed to hitting 500,000 subscribers on the main Geeks and Gamers channel this year. That is the goal. And in order to do that, I have to stay on point and I have to stay focused. And so we're going to do that. We are going to do it. So I'm really proud that we hit 400,000 subscribers. It's been a long time between 300 and 400. So I'm committed to stay the course. Hang on. Coop says, as usual, he didn't read my 20. Damn it, Coop, you got me again. He didn't send a 20, did he, Krista? Coop didn't send a 20. He's trolling me like he always does. I fell for it.
You've read all of them.
He got me again. Let me see what he says. I bet. You guys know I hate not reading super chats. Okay, I really do. I hate not reading them, but sometimes you got to do the square up. He didn't miss super chats. Well, there's some. Like there's still quite a few that I'm gonna have to get on the square up. But Coop trolled me again. Just like Trump, I walked into it a few too many times. He got me again. So, but yeah, we got Geeks and Gamers Daily tomorrow. Who's going to be hosting? You'll just have to tune in and find out. Okay. If you did enjoy the coverage tonight, please consider subscribing. We had over 200 new members tonight. Shout out to all of the gifted memberships. We really do appreciate it. And he says, oops, that was a few weeks ago. Always gets me. But Krista, where can they find you, Krista?
You can find me on Twitter, Krista Nova with 2 V's, KristaNovva on Twitter. That's all I'm going to promote for tonight. And also, I am working on a painting, and it's a Legend of Zelda painting, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice. That's good stuff. Well, I will say, Krista and Jay both do some work for our park hopping channel, so our theme park channel. So if you're into that, feel free to go subscribe to that channel. And thank you guys for all of the love and support. We will do the square up, and I'll see you guys for that for Thursday. Of course, we'll have a regular Cobra Cast tomorrow night, and we'll do a debate recap, and we'll see what the reaction was over the next 24 hours. And I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, Jay Big says denial day Cobra Trump lost. Okay, if that's what you think, I mean, I have no problem with you thinking that. You probably need me to think like you, and I'm not a beta, so I don't need someone else to validate my own opinion. But you clearly need me to. And I'm sorry for that, man. I'm sorry. But there's a great channel that you can go check out where you can see yourself. It's called Star Wars Explained. It's ran by a beta, and his wife wears the pants of a relationship, and it'll fit right in for you, bro. So you'll love it over there, okay? You'll love it, man. Star Wars Explained just for you, where they need their own opinions validated by other people, namely me. So, but anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great night, and we will talk to all of you later. Hail Rumble, hail Kick, hail X, and hail YouTube. Go over to 221 Be Tactical. Make sure you get yourself a shirt and a hat, and we'll talk to all of you later. Bye, everyone.